This is Music Relish Podcast.
Well, hello. This is Music Relish Podcast, and I'm Perry, and I'm here with Lou and Mark. And we're going to have a decent show today, right? We're going to talk about Roy Thomas Baker, Bell Records. We're going to have some one-hit wonders. We're going to review the Dwight Yoakam record. And Lou, how you doing? Mark, how you doing?
Doing good. Hopefully, I'll stay on for the duration of the show tonight.
Well, you know what, Lou?
Technical fuckery.
Mark says if you cut out, you just have to hit a button about the microphone or something like that.
Oh, really? Tell me.
Or we'll just carry on. We'll keep talking till you come back on. The rear door is always open. Remember that.
Thank you.
Well, you know, sometimes the show's a comedy of errors. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
A tragic comedy. Pathos, the whole bit.
So why don't we, Mark, do you want to begin with some news?
Sure.
Well, hold on, Mark. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay. Thank you, Perry. And another news. First thing up, we were talking a couple weeks ago about this lawsuit with the parties involved with Journey and the trademarking. So Neil Schon had a chance to reply back. Now, as you know, Steve Perry is saying that they trademarked song titles, other things without his permission. So Neil Schon, and I follow him on Instagram and I follow him on Facebook, he never minces words. He will go back at anybody. He doesn't care. So he's saying that the current dispute with Steve Perry is a result of being forced into a contract they didn't want to sign. So basically what he says was, yeah, so he says when they signed this whole thing with the situation that they have, he says that what happened was a bunch of years ago, I think it was the last tour that Steve Perry did with the band. That would be the Raised on Radio tour.
Yeah.
He says the partnership was forced upon us all to sign 10 minutes before we were to go on in Hawaii at a string of 5 sold-out shows. We had played the first 2. Then our manager, the late Herbie Herbert, came to us stating Steve Perry was not going to go on without us signing. Herbie claimed he didn't know what else to do, so he suggested we sign. We did sign, but I will say under duress and not having any time for any other legal to look at it. It's kind of a he said, she said, right? You know.
But how could I don't understand how Neil Schon says we were forced to sign a contract that we like really, dude.
I know.
Yeah, come on, man.
You don't know. We just don't know. You know. Now Perry
was Peter Green their manager at that point?
Yeah, right.
Or no, Creedence. So it was their manager.
Saul Zaentz.
Yeah. So Perry, after he left the group, Steve Perry, not this Perry, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
After he left the group,
although I have left groups in the past. Luke can attest to that.
And groups have left him.
Oh. Okay, all right. But he left the group but retained voting rights through their management company. Then this is kind of funny, this little thing. A subsequent lineup then imploded during a Journey board meeting in 2020, and Perry memorably sided against Schon. I love this one. Perry was present at this is Neil Schon's comment here. Perry was present at the board of directors meeting. No one thought I was there, but while being represented by my attorney, I was there listening on the line. Perry's voice was heard by myself and all that attended, voting me off the board. During the meeting, Schon said then drummer Steve Smith voted himself in as president, while then bassist Russ Valerie voted himself in as secretary. And they all threw myself under the bus, as well as John. So he's saying him and Jonathan Cain got thrown under the bus.
Wow.
And then he just says one little thing.
Rock, man.
Oh, bottom line, and he makes sense on this one. Bottom line, all these years have gone by. Then I find out our music wasn't even trademarked, nor the name until 2005, and I trademarked the rest of everything in 2020. So out of all the attorneys, accountants, managers we've had, do you think just one of them could have taken care of business and protected the band? I'm going to take a wild guess and say that they all knew the differences between songwriting, copyright, and ultimately the trademarks to everything. Just a little something to think about, friends, which means he's saying everything was in disarray. Who was looking out for who? Nobody was looking out for Journey. I understand that side of it from him, but this is tough. Yeah. We don't know.
Sounds like he's making excuses.
It's also a time-old story of how, the artist management relations are in constant disarray, and
yeah.
a lot of sleight of hand going on. Like the fact that someone didn't know like difference between copyrights and trademarks, and
Right.
the fact that you had a name named Journey and it wasn't copywritten going back to '75. I find that
right.
kind of
It
sketchy.
sounds to me like he's trying to dance around the accusation of Steve Perry. Like, why would you start a company and leave me out of it and trademark these songs without me?
I like the idea of Steve Smith voting himself president, though. Like, I'm king.
Maybe that explains why Neil Schon did fire him from the band. That's maybe why. So why are you firing Steve Smith? Great drummer.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
How'd you get that recording of Neil?
That was Neil Schon. Yeah. So he was listening like Jay Leno did, like in a closet or something back when they were doing it. Like that's really
He was in an air conditioning duct hearing in.
Yeah, that's weird shit.
With recording equipment.
Yeah, I guess if they don't settle, I'm thinking they'll still settle. But if they don't, all this will be on the stand. This will be I hope this is on court TV if it actually goes to trial. That would be great.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was saying Pepe Marcello from the Good Rats on Judge Judy.
Why? What do you mean? You saw him on Judge Judy?
It was bad. He was making fun of a blind guy. It was so bad.
Oh boy!
Because I kind of like that band for one album. I thought they were interesting, Long Island Rockers. But he was just trying to get over in some promoter. And it was just he was trying to take advantage of his disability. It was just anyway.
Dang,
that's slander.
I was supposed to see the Good Rats right here in Pearl River at Joe and Joe's. It's a Bronx institution. They have one up here, and I got the tickets. Me and Tom. And a week before is when Pepe died. So all these years I've been hearing about the Good Rats. I have a couple of their albums.
I didn't know the guy's dead.
I didn't know he died.
Yeah. This was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey Pep.
Wow.
Speaking of Pep Guardiola, Liverpool beat sorry.
Oh wow.
No, I don't know. You said it. How do
Joe Pesci. I once saw good Joe Pesci in the movie Goodfellas.
That's white bread, man. Joe Pesci.
That was my Al Gore impersonation.
That pesky. Okay,
I saw
moving
him
on.
in that Mafia movie.
Mafioso. So we got another story here, and this is going to be
more rock
good.
news?
This is something. Yeah, there's going to be a new.
Okay, what is it? I'm curious. Yeah,
It's sexy,
rock
isn't it?
Our listeners want to know, Mark. What is it?
It's sexy because there's nothing sexier than Sid Barrett, right? Okay, so we like rock docs, all of us. So there's going to be a rock doc or a very good documentary on Sid Barrett. It's going to be titled "Have You Got It Yet?" And it's named after an unreleased Barrett song. And it was started by Storm Thurgeson. I'm sure you've heard that name. He was involved with Pink
Never
Floyd.
heard the name before.
Strom Thurmond?
Yeah, there you go. He's very old now. He died, and it was taken over by Roddy Begawa. I like that name.
Mark, what was the first guy's name again? Torkelson? What was his name?
Storm Thorgerson. Now I know he's connected with
Scandinavian.
I believe he did art. I don't remember exactly what he did with them, but he was connected with the band for years. So, but they got David Gilmour and Roger Waters and Nick Mason all contribute interviews for it. So it's a legit documentary.
Wow.
I'm surprised that David and Roger didn't break down and fight, because if you look back here, I have the Animals Redux 5.1. It took 4 years because David and Roger couldn't stop fighting over the liner notes. These guys fight over everything. So,
Animale.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, they both they both have a high level of arrogance to where like they could not get along with each other. Like
they're English, they can't help it. You know.
Now, what's cool is my listening for the last week since the last podcast has been I've been listening to every Pink Floyd album in succession because I never did it, and so I have a little David Gilmour Pink Floyd connection going throughout my little contributions to tonight's podcast.
Nice.
Oh,
so, okay. Did you listen
it's
to every album?
Zeitgeist thing, man. It's that Zeitgeist. You know,
there you go, the Zeitgeist. So
Zeitgeist. You pop your zits.
Oh yeah, I could do it now. It's a first now.
There you go.
So he says something. He just said something that Sid Barrett, even though he left the band, he's probably responsible for a lot of their success indirectly, because he says, poignantly, some of Pink Floyd's biggest worldwide hit records, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall, examine themes of madness and stardom, including Shine On You Crazy Diamond and Wish You Were Here, written as tributes to Barrett. But I like what Bogawa says. He says something. It's the tragic story of Brian Wilson and Kurt Cobain and many others in music and art whose explosive creative drives often rest on fragile, exuberant energy that gets pressure cooked from their success. Unfortunately, Sid couldn't handle it. Yeah, a little success there. And then he said basically, he said something else. That the most difficult challenge they'd encountered was interpreting Barrett's process of harmony and how unexpected sonic energy and visual discord, both seemingly random, was planned and well thought out, which means his compositions are just weird.
They are weird. I listened to your early albums. I can't recall a tune. Having listened to all of them once all the way through. It's hard to describe. It's hard to describe avant-garde. I think could they keep making those same records over and over again? No. But
they were ahead of their time.
The period he was in, ahead of their time. Yeah. I always wonder if someone of that mystique is somewhat overrated at some point. I thought.
It's interesting because he
not to deny
he fell in with a crowd that was dropping acid every day or something, right?
Well, and also his mental deterioration. It's like by the third record, he was pretty much out of the band, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
But
if you listen to, I think it's the song "Lucifer Sam." You know that song, Lou?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a song recorded years later. It doesn't sound like a song from 1967.
Yeah,
they were doing. Right. I personally, when I was young and everyone loved the Syd Barrett solo albums because it was cool to listen to them, I never got into them. But then, like in my 40s, I kind of got it. I know where he was coming from, but if he hadn't have had the breakdown, Pink Floyd may not have been who they were, because if he had stayed with the band, David Gilmour wouldn't have joined. It's one of those ironic things in rock and roll.
Yeah. You know who's a huge Syd Barrett fan? A guy I really like is Robin Hitchcock. He's a Syd Barrett guy. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
You can hear by the fourth album, or they did a couple soundtrack albums, but right before Dark Side of the Moon, you could hear the songs coming out. You could hear, even I forgot the last record I listened to was the one right before Dark Side. You can hear like the beginnings of songs. I heard some strumming, which you don't hear on any of the previous records.
Was that obscured by clouds?
Do you want to let Mark finish the news, and then we can go into the Syd Barrett?
But real quick, the "Obscured by Clouds" is what you were listening to, Lou. That was
Yes, that
was.
Yeah.
So, Arnold Lane and See Emily Play were very melodic songs.
Yes, they were.
Right?
They were standouts. That was like their Incense and Peppermints.
Yeah.
That was their
good point.
You could they were psychedelic. They were out there, but they were also very catchy. They were very melodic.
They
were kind of hits, right?
When he was on, he's on. And may I recommend Nick Mason's autobiography? It's an outsider's look at the band. He was on both sides of the camp. He was there for all of it. It's worth reading. Very good book.
Yeah. So Perry made a good point. We strayed from the documentary, but it will definitely be worth watching.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It talks about his genius. He was considered.
I can't wait to see. Both Gilmour and Waters were close to. Some people have said Gilmour replaced him. Gilmour knew him. They all knew each other. When I saw Roger Waters a month ago, he had, instead of talking, he would show little subtitles on the screen, and he told stories about Syd Barrett, and they had you almost crying. One of them was, they were sitting at a light in Beverly Hills, and Sid turned to him and said, "Phoenix is great this time of year." So he didn't even know where he was. And then he went quiet. And then I'm paraphrasing. And at one point he just looked at Waters and went, "People." And that's all he said. So he was already like exhibiting, like he was breaking. But Waters was affected by it. So I can't wait to see those two interviewed, because they both love him. No one's better friend or whatever. So it'll be very interesting. And maybe it'll reignite my interest in Syd Barrett.
And I think what rock star that has traveled the world has not gone on stage and said, "Cleveland, we love you," when you're in like Poughkeepsie? You're just kind of, what country am I in?
When you're in Johnson City, Tennessee,
That's at the Meadowlands. Klaus Meine from Scorpions kept saying, "New York, New York," and everyone's going, "New Jersey," and they kept yelling at him. So don't tell New Jerseyans that they're in New York. Don't say that. That's not good.
Oh no. Bad
Okay,
news.
where were we?
So I got one more story here. A while back, do you remember we talked about the 914 studios in Orangeburg on
Yes.
303? I still pass
Yes.
every day.
Yes.
So the guy that ran
914,
it,
that's the Bruce Springsteen recorded in Rockland County, New Jersey, or New
He
York.
recorded
or something, right?
he recorded the first 3 albums there, including Born to Run.
yeah.
Including
was the
Born
last
to
thing.
Run, the whole
Yeah.
thing, or
Yeah.
really?
I think a few things in Born to Run might have been recorded at the Hit Factory or something like that. But I think the bulk of the Born to Run was recorded up in Blauvelt, not too far from where you are.
Well,
And
very close to it, yeah.
Mark's closer, in fact.
Mark's
Our
closer,
fr-
yeah.
Yeah.
Mark's in the
Our-
same county. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. When Mark describes it, where he's driving by it, it's been so long since I've been there. I'd have to. I'm sure I've driven by it too.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
Not being a big Springsteen fan, I really don't know.
No.
So those first 2 records were recorded there with that other drummer, Vinny
Lopez.
Yeah.
Vinny Mad Dog Lopez.
Yeah, they were very busy. Those records were busy, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Those records were described when the reviewers said like the rhythm section and the drumming was weak and mushy. And when I thought
Really?
mushy, I'm like, when you listen to his fills, they like disappear into nowhere. Some of these things he does before like the verse comes in, coming back to the one, as they say. They're weak. It doesn't seem like he's coming in strong confidently. It seems like he was distracted. A couple things, he had a nice feel. But in seeing some videos of Bruce concerts, like from the 2000s, where every once in a while he'll get up and play a few songs. He'll play like Kitty's Back, something from one of the first 2 records
he was
on.
even there on this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame East G Band thing, wasn't he?
I hope he was.
I think he was.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think he should be. I think
think
anyone
he
who was
was,
in that
yeah.
band and contributed to what Born to Run became and thereafter, should be.
But on Born to Run, that was Max Weinberg, or was that still Vinny Lopez?
Every song on Born to Run is Max Weinberg, except the single Born to Run is Ernest Carter.
Really?
Jazz, yeah. He seemed like pretty much a jazz drummer. If you've seen that, there's a funny video with Max Weinberg where that break in Born to Run, the drums do this total jazzy thing. When they separate it, it's bizarre. It's totally something completely un-rock and roll. I mean, maybe Ginger Baker might have done that. It's a jazz flourish that goes this.
So this was all done at that 914 studio.
Yeah, yep.
Right?
I think that maybe if a couple things from Born to Run were recorded, I think maybe the Hit Factory or somewhere in New York. Like a Meeting Across the River, it's a piano-based song. It's got Ron Carter, the legendary Ron Carter, on upright bass. The Brecker brothers or one of them, whoever played trumpet.
Who are the Brecker brothers?
The famous horn players from New York, Randy Brecker, Michael Brecker, Steely Dan. They play with a lot big session guys. But one of them, whoever's the trumpet player, played trumpet on that. But Ron Carter is the legendary bass player. Like he played the double bass, the upright.
Yeah,
That
I remember it was make or break though with that Born to Run. If that wasn't successful, he was going to lose that contract, from what I read.
Yeah. Oh, right? it was definitely do or die.
Make or break. Yep.
Yeah, and I think some of the test pressings he heard were discouraging. So it wasn't like once the recording session started, it wasn't like total magic.
Yeah.
It was something where like that was a grinded out record, and then he had 3 years of legal trouble before he could put out the record following Darkness on the Edge of Town.
I like that record. There's a darkness on the. I always like that. The cover is spooky looking. That vacant house.
Yeah,
right.
And young was he? Bruce is probably 28 there. He probably wasn't even 30 years old. But,
my sister had all those records, man, and she saw him at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey. Man, there were like 3,000 people. Way back then. Yeah.
Way back. Yeah. But Born to Run was probably out, but he still wasn't. He hadn't gone national. He was regional at that point, up and down the East Coast, down to Virginia.
He was doing those wild shows, though. He was the entertainer.
My first concert, I was 15.
Your first concert was Bruce Springsteen? Really?
Yeah, at it was then the Carlton Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey, and it's now the Count Basie Theater.
So
I never knew
like 3,000 people?
Mark's been there more than me. It might be 2. I mean, it's in downtown.
Nice small venue,
Red Bank.
right? Yeah.
It's a small venue, yeah, but Was it loud? Oh yeah. There was just it was the Young E Street Band. I don't know how long. I don't remember how long they played for, but I remember they played a lot of stuff.
And what was he? He must have been playing that Fender Broadcaster, right?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And Max had a white. It looked like a Slingerland drum kit.
So was Miami Steve there?
Yes, he was. It was the classic. It was the classic lineup.
This was
with
pre Nils Lofgren and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, Nils Lofgren came aboard for Born in the USA, so that was '84. So this was,
Yeah, I don't like
years.
that. I was like, God, now, man, I'm not, Born in the USA, and
I mean, whatever you think of the song, I mean, it's not jingoistic at all. Yeah. But I mean, for an album, it's a pretty solid album. I mean,
no, Bruce, but I mean that tour, he was on top of the world, filling football stadiums.
Yep, Bruce, he came full circle. That was his big thing. He did the big thing, and then what's pretty cool is that after that, that was a big tour. He kind of scaled back, and then he did his first solo record.
He had to marry a model actress. He had to do the thing. All right.
Yeah. He had it all, having it all.
Yeah.
It was the '80s,
And then he came home to New Jersey and like, I need a Jersey girl, man. Right?
Yeah. He learned.
Yeah. So that studio, I assume it was an analog studio, right? It was a 24-track, 16-track machine and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there were I think there was issues with the piano.
Meaning it wasn't in tune or?
It had tuning issues. It was just, I don't know what kind of piano it was. That studio had been used for some other things. That'd be an interesting, we should go back further into that. Because it's, if you're from the Northeast or from our area in New Jersey, New York, that's a pretty important little piece of rock history.
Well, you know what?
Born to Run to me is it's considered a classic rock and roll album, and I will fight that to the death. That's a classic rock and roll album. Whatever you think of Bruce, it lands on there. I think it's
Well, like I've said this before to you in the past. You're not offended by it. I am not a fan of the East Street Band, offended. Man. It's too big. It's too big, too much, Well,
I think now. I mean, if you have three guitar players, you're not the Outlaws. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I was wondering, what is Nils Lofgren's role? Because as a musician, he's known for being like a Neil Young sideman. What song did he play piano?
For a time, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that was Neil Young's. That's a great period. But he played piano on. Was it
Heart of Gold?
Oh, Heart of Gold. That's okay. I thought it was like All in a Dream.
Well, he played piano on that record, so yeah. But I know on Heart of Gold, I think it's Nils Lofgren on piano.
But I think he was brought into the East Street Band to be like this. He had has a reputation as a guitar player, but so does Bruce.
Yeah,
Does he? I don't see him playing a lot of leads or whatever, but he must be filling in something. Maybe there's something in that sound that we're not hearing. That
this is when Miami Steve was not there, right?
Well, that was when Miami Steve left, so Nils Lofgren came in, and then when Patti Scialfa joined the band, that was around the same time. She plays acoustic guitar because she does play. She's
and plus, it'd be an insult just to give her a tambourine.
Right. Well,
yeah,
I mean, she does. She adds to the sound. So
she does play.
I know what you mean, like three guitar players. I mean, but I think in the course of that live show, I think Nils will put on like a mandolin. He'll play other stringed instruments to accommodate some of the other material Bruce has done.
Yeah. He can play all lap steel guitar. I think I've seen him play and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Now, do you remember him from the early 80s? I knew him from doing trampoline jumps. He had a video where you couldn't see it, but he had a non-stage thing where he'd like use a little mini tramp and do like backflips. Because he's not very big. He's a very small man.
He's small in stature. Yeah.
Yes, he makes Bruce look big. But there's a video where you see him like flying through the air backwards, does a flip because he had a trampoline. That was his stunt.
Well, you always crack me up about that Bruce Springsteen stiff dancing that he does. He's
got his feet nailed to the floor. That's the dancing in the dark.
With that TV actor from Friends or something.
Courtney Cox.
Yeah, and I'm proud to say,
You've never
ever seen 1 second of the TV show Friends. Never have, never will.
I've never seen a complete episode. I've seen snippets there. But I do remember a time when that was very popular. What was the song? That was a one-hit wonder.
Here's the thing. Like, I've never seen the show.
Was that the Rembrandts? Was that the Rembrandts?
I've never seen the show. I kid you not. I have never seen a second of the show.
The song. But, you know the song.
But celebrity,
oh, sure.
I know that it's Jennifer Aniston. It's David Schwimmer. Like, I know their names, but
Learn to swim.
I've never seen the show, you know?
Yeah. Matthew Perry and I have the same birthday.
Matthew Perry, yeah.
Right.
I saw him in a silly movie where they were going like the Lewis and Clark expedition, trying to get to the Pacific Ocean first, and I think
Really?
Chris Farley was in it with him. It was kind of funny, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I'm wondering if our erstwhile co-host is going to rejoin the show. He's pulling a Lou.
I think he will. Yeah. So how about while I have you here, Lou?
Okay.
Let me remember. Do you remember an old record label called Bell Records?
You mentioned it earlier. I'll know songs from it, but I mean, off the top of my head, really, no, I don't.
Well, I'll tell you.
Enlighten me.
Bell Records was, it started in 1952.
Was it started by Archie Bell of Archie Bell and the Drells?
No, it was started by Arthur Shimkin.
Now.
But there was an older company called Bell Records, and it was from Benny Bell that they purchased the company from. So there was the, old Bell Records, and he used to put out like novelty songs and stuff like that. But at one time, Bell Records had on their as far as people signed to, they had April Wine.
Oh wow.
They had they had Gary Glitter.
Pervert.
They had the Bay City Rollers.
Uh-huh.
They had the Drifters. They had Susie Quattro.
Susie, one hit wonder.
Yeah. That was one of your one hit wonders that I heard you on. I think on Scott McLean's show, right?
In. Yeah, it could have been Neil Diamond on that.
Yeah. He had Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66.
And Brazil 66.
They were on Bell. Terry Jacks, that depressing song.
Oh, fuck that.
Goodbye, Papa. It's hard to die. I think that was on Bell Records.
That was on Bell Records?
Yeah. Yep.
They made a ton on that maudlin piece of shit.
They had Davy Jones. They had Shirley Jones.
Davy Jones solo. And Shirley Jones of the Partridge Family.
Shirley Jones, yeah. And the Partridge Family were also on Bell Records. Now Bell Records put out 45s. They put out a lot of 45s and some LPs. So in other words, there were a lot of independent little labels. Well, like you were to release a 45 on Louis Records, but when you put out an album, the album would be on Bell Records.
Okay, right.
Things like that. Mm-hmm. So in 1966, they kind of went international.
Who started Bell Records again? What was the guy's name?
Well, it was founded in 1952 by Arthur Shimkin. But there was actually a Bell Records like in the 1920s, but they had like little wax recordings and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Then it got bought out by like another company. But the real Bell Records that were familiar with the logo is from 1952. But in 1966, they decided to go international. So they had a hit by the Syndicate of Sound. It was called Little Girl. Syndicate of Sound, like 1966.
I've heard of the Syndicate of Sound, but
yep. That was
you mean like "Go Away, Little Girl"?
No. That's not that song. I don't have a sample of, but like remember that song? I'm Your Puppet. Puppet. That was from 1966 also by James and Bobby Purify or Purify. Yeah,
that was the name of the artist.
Yeah,
now, I like that song.
Yeah,
it has bells on it. A lot of bells.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. And a box top, the letter.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Now, see, here's one of those things where the 45 was released on, some other label. Could have been like, Mala Records or something, but the album came out on Bell.
Okay.
So, because Bell was a big company. They distributed for smaller companies too, Bell Records.
Right. And for those that don't know, the letter was not written by Joe Cocker.
Yeah, really.
That's an Alex Chilton original, correct?
No, Alex Chilton didn't write those songs.
He didn't write the letter.
He didn't write the letter or the other one. Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, Cry Like a Baby.
One of them was written by like Joe South or somebody like that. Something like that. So remember this hit.
So what was Paul Westerberg going on about for all those years? He liked the box top.
Big Star.
Big Star.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, I never traveled far without a little big star. Remember this big hit, Merrily Rush? Just call me Angel in the morning. Bell Records.
Okay. That's a great song.
Yeah. Yep.
And that line says, just slap my face before you leave, right?
Yep. I don't know about that. That's a little misogynistic. But they were actually called...
that was the joke back then when that song first came out.
Wait, let me go Scott McLean on you with this one. So it was actually Mary Lee Rush and the Turnabouts was the record. Another song we talked about recently during the Bubblegum show. Gimme good lovin', right? Crazy Elephant.
Yeah.
Bell Records.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So now, were they like a Roulette Records, or they were just
Bell Records actually.
I don't want to hear any horror stories. That's what I'm getting at. I want to hear like
no.
They just put out records, I made sure they were.
Yeah, they were a record company. Partridge. My sister had Partridge Family albums that were on Bell Records.
Now with those records, a lot of well-known musicians and songwriters came through that as well. So this wasn't some tent operation, obviously. The fact that you had, who are the guys that wrote some Partridge Family hits?
David Cassidy.
David Cassidy. Did he write some of those originals?
No. Those.
I think I Love You. That was like Boyce and Hart.
Other people,
writers of that.
I can't think of the name at the moment,
Burt Burns. What about Burt Burns?
Those are all. So anyway, here's where it gets interesting. 1969, Bell Records get bought by Columbia Pictures. Okay. This is common tale where, you know what I mean? Like, big oil company owns Gulf Western owned Paramount Pictures, or those kind of things. Excuse me. Columbia Pictures bought out Bell Records in 1969 for $3.5 million. Wow. And it was a lot of stock.
A mere bag of shells.
Yeah. In 1969, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
$3.5 million. So so there were three little companies. One of them was called Mala. There was Bell, and there was another company called Anime or Anna, whatever it was. They all merged into one and just became Bell.
Okay.
These little 45 labels that they used to release, everything after that was on Bell Records. So the president of Bell Records was Larry Utal, and he was replaced by Clive Davis.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
of CBS Records
of Columbia.
Clive Davis
of Columbia. Yeah. Columbia Pictures and Clive Davis. Columbia Pictures hired Clive Davis to like boost up their catalog and for the movies and the songs. And
he was also the president of Columbia when John Hammond got him to sign Bruce Springsteen.
Right, but the guy
and Bob Dylan.
The guy who replaced. No, that was John Hammond, right?
John Hammond was Bruce Springsteen auditioned for John Hammond and Dylan.
Right.
Clive Davis.
Right.
I don't know if Clive Davis was.
But Clive Davis at this point worked for Columbia Pictures Industries.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
But the guy Larry Utal, who was replaced by Clive Davis, Larry Utal signed the Partridge Family. He signed Barry Manilow. He signed Tony Orlando and Dawn.
When he signed the Partridge Family, the TV cast was not the band. What are you saying? Like, who from the Partridge Family was actually signed?
David Cassidy.
David Cassidy was
Shirley Jones. Yeah.
Was anyone else singing on it? Was
Shirley Jones
Kincaid there?
Shirley Jones can sing. She was a Broadway star. She's made sound. She's made right.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I wonder who constituted the Partridge Family when he signed them.
Well,
was Danny Bonaduce there?
No, I think they kind of knew that it was going to be sort of a TV show and, that kind of thing. But anyway, so this guy, Larry Utal, he signed the Fifth Dimension.
Wow.
He signed Melissa Manchester.
They were on Bell Records, the Fifth Dimension?
For a time, they were on Bell Records. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So this guy signed, but he was replaced by Clive Davis, of course. So Bell, they were a big, pretty big company, actually. I remember seeing a lot of records on Bell. But then it really got complicated once you get the Columbia Pictures involved. Now everything is changing. So like by 1974, they were like running out, like their last hit I think, was Tony Orlando and Dawn. Was like their last big hit.
Please don't sing it.
I'm not going to sing it, but their last number one hit that they had on Bell Records was Barry Manilow. Oh, Mandy.
Oh, wow.
That was that was Bell Records' last number one hit.
About
After
1976, maybe 75, 76.
Let me see if I have it here. About 74, 75.
Can't you wait, oh Mandy?
Yeah.
Nice melody. Not to take it away from Barry. You know.
No, not at all.
Was that played on rock radio, wasn't it? Or rockish radio?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the last number one hit they had was Barry Manilow.
Okay.
That was the last number one hit single that they had, 1975. The last actual release that was on Bell Records was "Look Into My Eyes, Pretty Woman" by Tony Orlando and Dawn. And that peaked at number 11. That was the last hit. After that, it all became...
So it wasn't a top 10 hit for them. I don't know that song. We knew everything else by then.
Yeah, it was
weird.
I can't even remember ever hearing it, tell you the truth. But they say it peaked at number 11 in the U.S. But who knows? It could have been adult contemporary at that time.
Yeah, right.
We didn't listen to adult contemporary radio.
No. Because
but after that...
At that point, Neil Diamond was on adult contemporary radio at that point.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
So
that was considered middle of the road.
Yeah. So like 1974, it became Arista Records. So Bell was no longer in existence. It became Arista Records. So any reissues after that were issued on Arista after that, which is Clive Davis. So it was a new venture. Interesting, though, the new venture was called Arista Records. Clive Davis himself owned 20% of Arista Records. 20%. So, like, that guy's got money, man.
Yeah. Now, who were some well-known artists on Arista? Was Linda Ronstadt on there?
No, she was on Asylum, I thought.
Asylum? Well, I mean, for a while, however long.
Arista's, I guess the biggest thing ever on Arista was Whitney Houston. Probably.
I've got news from upstate New York. This just in. Mark and Anthony, not Mark Anthony, are working on their Wi-Fi shutout.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
They'll be back.
Cartoon doggies.
So yeah, Bell Records, and then it was bought out by Columbia Pictures, and it became Arista Records, and but for a time they were a big company, man, distributing for other records and other companies and things like that. Bell Records.
That's a lot of big artists and big hit singles on that too.
Heck yeah, man.
So that was a successful label.
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, Clive Davis. I don't know much about him. I think there was a few documentaries I've not seen.
Well,
I don't know much about. I mean, I know where he was, but personally, and as far as his background was, I don't know much.
I know a little bit about him. I did see a documentary.
Is there Clive Davis Jr.?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but Clive Davis. I did see a little documentary on Clive Davis, and his talent was picking songs.
Okay.
In other words, all those hits that Barry Manilow had, he didn't write them.
Right.
Clive Davis came to him and said, "You should record the song Mandy. You should record the song." What was that one with the Rio? You know what I mean?
Copacabana.
Copacabana, right? All those other Barry Manilow hits were suggested by Clive Davis. Yes,
he had an ear for whatever artist he was.
Right. He suggested that Whitney Houston sing that Dolly Parton song.
Right. Okay. He was involved in her career as well.
That was his talent. Yeah. Yep. Right. Yeah, he signed her. Yeah.
Now that is a great talent. That says you've got some ears deluxe, because if I'm gonna say the same thing for David Geffen. Obviously, some of these documentaries reveal him to be, he seemed kind of greedy. I can now say I'm a
very
billionaire.
Thin-skinned, by the way, too.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
But the guy had ears. He had ears for music. He had ears. That's why him and Laura Nyro were so close. that's why he knew that with the Eagles, Don Henley, by the time the second album came, he sang a whole shit ton more. Because he knew he could tell that in the scope of that music that was the voice that needed to come out.
But interesting there, like, even in that Dave Geffen documentary I saw, we're like, all right, so get over it. So Clive Davis got Laura Nyro. She signed with Clive.
Yeah.
And like he couldn't get over it. He's like, I felt like, hey, dude, get over it, man.
You have a dorsal fin on your back. You're a fucking shark.
Yeah, I mean,
and someone else that took your prey away from you. I mean, I was saying that's the business. You can't be, like you said, you can't be that thin skinned in that business.
Yeah.
And like,
don't be a pussy, Vaughn. We all got to go to work in the morning,
Really. But I think when you're dealing with that's a rarefied air. For better or worse.
Yeah, but so Clive Davis, he signed Whitney Houston, and he's got that talent for picking songs for people.
Right. Well, that was the time. That was I guess it's over now. Is it the role of the A&R man, artist and repertoire? So many people that were in bands, like bass players like Steppenwolf, another great true example. They became A&R people because they knew music, they knew what was good. They like Clive Davis, another David Geffen, another George Martin, whatever. They could hear a band and hear a song and say that song's for you. That is something you should do. And they could discover talent. I mean, kind of the way that Al Cooper hooked up with Lynyrd Skynyrd. He's living Atlanta was a shit kicking town back then, apparently.
Well, see, that's another thing that bugs me about friggin' David Geffen. So he sues Neil Young for not being
not being Neil Young enough.
Not being Neil Young enough. Like, you know what? I mean,
you're not being yourself.
Neil Young is ever evolving. He's always evolving.
Yeah.
So if he wants to do a little country-ish album, if he wants to do an electronica album, right? And you're going to sue him. And of course, David Geffen regretted it. That he actually sued him and ended up dropping the lawsuit, by the way, too, because there's no merit to it. You can't sue an artist
and he was
for not being artistic
lose.
Enough or whatever,
You drop a lawsuit when you're going to lose. Come on. He's not. Guys like that aren't into losing.
Well, David Geffen was acting really bitchy. He really was.
He's getting bitchy. It's that time of month. The only time I saw Neil Young was when it was on that Trans tour. That's a funny title now, isn't it? Given our current world, it's not a dig, but I saw that. But it's funny because he did this total thing with the wraparound sunglasses, like the Terminator. Yeah. But then at the end of it, he did the set with the Shocking Pinks, which was his rockabilly band.
Yeah, you're right.
I forgot the name of that album. They did an album.
Yeah, it was the one on different. The beach or something, right? Yeah.
No. It was the Neil Young Shocking Pinks. Anyway.
But anyway, that was part of David Geffen suing him. You have to understand, he had 2 kids with cerebral palsy, so he wanted to do that electronic sort of strange robotic voice through a vocoder or whatever it was.
He did. Yeah.
Right. Hey, dude, David, you're supposed to understand art, man. Stop being so bitchy about it,
And I'm wondering, did the album sell? Because he did a reworking of Mr. Soul in that vein. That was pretty cool. And the fact that he could take a song that he recorded with the Buffalo Springfield and, at that point, digitize it or, computer it up.
Neil Young didn't care what the sales were. He didn't care about it. No. He was making an artistic statement.
And he didn't have to care. When you reach that level, I think you're able. The fact that he gave so much, whatever bands he was in, the fact that you should be able at that point to say, I want to do something I think I want to do because I'm the artist, and I think you'll like it, or someone's going to like it.
And then
everybody.
Then he said they sell Asylum Records, and also all your artists now, like Don Henley said, he goes, we're a commodity now. We're just got sold. To someone else, to Warner Brothers or whoever they sold it to. I think they sold it to Warner Brothers.
Is that some sour grapes, though? Because, the Eagles and, I'm not knocking the music, but, they were an entity. And those 2 guys, Henley and Frey, realized at some point that they are going to be the CEOs of that corporation. So they understood what was going on as far as, maybe record labels are sold, that kind of thing. And, I'm not advocating and condoning the clinical side of the music business, but those two guys in particular knew the pitfalls of what could happen when you sign with a major label or when you're that big. You know, so you have to make sure no one's robbing you.
But this is when the Eagles were on Asylum.
Yeah.
And Asylum got sold to Warner Brothers.
They got sold, right.
So now David was like, I'm all about the artists. I'm David Geffen. I'm about the artists. It's all the artists. Jackson Brown, Joni Mitchell. It's all this. Then they all get sold.
Jackson Brown being the exception because he got his copyrights back.
But they all got sold to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And it became WEA, Warner Electro Asylum, I think.
Right. I'm not condoning what David Geffen did. I mean, he got greedy. And he
absolutely got greedy.
That's the brass ring, and he grabbed it. And the artists, they got sucked along with it there.
Yeah, and then he sells Geffen Records after, suddenly he's a billionaire now. Like
that was the goal. That was the goal. In and of itself. Of course
his goal is money. Yeah. That's why he sued Neil Young, because the records weren't selling the way David wanted them to.
The way he wanted them to. But, the funny thing is that Neil Young's records sell, especially in the early 80s. I mean, his big splash was in the 70s with those classic records, but going into the 80s, I mean, I saw him on that tour. So the fact that I saw him, the only time I ever saw him was on a tour that you weren't maybe supposed to go see, or that was lesser. It was a great show. I do remember thinking it was kind of quite visionary for its time, and it was entertaining, not only with the fact that, kind of going see an icon when they're doing something different, like seeing Dylan in Whiteface.
The Rolling Thunder review, right?
Yeah, and if you're a fan of the artist, and if you realize they are an artist, you kind of go along with it. You go along. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But it had its merits. I mean, that was not a bad tour. It was a great show, actually. And it was at the Brendan Byrne Arena, which is, I don't want to go to those places anymore, and I haven't.
Well, talking about that Dylan, that Dylan show from the mid '70s when he was in his Whiteface period.
Yeah, that was Rolling Thunder.
Rolling Thunder review, yeah. Mick Ronson was on guitar.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Right.
You know who else was on guitar? T-Bone Burnett.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
He has worked with some drummers that Dylan's drummers you don't normally know. They're not really well known. The guy that played on No Mercy, I can't think of his name right now, but I like the way he played.
Yep.
The guy that played on the album's got Desire, one of my favorite Dylan records. It's like Alan Parker or some Parker guy. I mean, interesting how he picked his musicians.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It was never. Remember guitar player like Mark Ribot, R-I-B-O-T. I think he's the New Orleans guy. I think he's connected with Daniel Lanois. He's got like a tremolo-y sound. Like it's Americana, but it's kind of swampy Americana. But he was in that period. Name that came up.
Well, how about this, Lou?
Yeah.
Let me try and stump you with a one-hit wonder.
Look who it is.
Hey. It's
I love my internet service provider. They're the best.
It's Mr. Fabulous.
You make me feel good, Mark. Thank you.
Let me just tell you.
There's a case of the... yeah, I'm sorry.
The whole block goes down every so often because I text some of our neighbors, and yet we all call the cable... I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean who company was. And say...
Shame them.
They say that it's all in our houses, so we have to pay to get it fixed. Not true.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll just pick up.
What did we just finish up on, Lou? We were finished up on like Bell Records. We finished up on David Geffen, Clive Davis.
Yeah. Cool. And we went off on like a Bruce Springsteen 914 Studios thing, which we were saying we should do a little segment on 914 because you pass it every day on your way to work. Yeah. It's in Blauvelt, New York, and just the fact that there were some other records that were recorded there. It wasn't just Bruce Springsteen's first 3 records.
That's right,
including the classic, the rock and roll all-time classic, Born to Run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Born to Run. For those who are not from New Jersey.
Let me ask you: do you remember this? Group, this singer? The guy was called Lobo.
Yes. Baby, don't get hooked on
No, that's Mac Davis. That's Mac Davis.
Oh, no, that was Me and You and the Dog Named Blue.
Me and You and the Dog Named Baby, I'd love you to want me the way that I want you. Yep. I found out something interesting about this guy. He's from Winter Park, Florida.
Ooh.
They had a band in 1966, right? No, it was like 1961. They were in a local band called the Rumors. In that band with him were Jim Stafford.
Wow.
And Graham Parsons.
Holy shit.
They were all from Winter Park, Florida. Yep.
Now, do you know what Winter Park, Florida is also kind of infamous for?
No.
That's where Richard Manuel hung himself.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that down. Thanks, Lou.
That's why I'm here.
Thank you.
You and your happy horse shit. Yeah. And to go even further, it was at the Cheek. The last gig was at, this is so bad for a band. That was the band. The Cheek to Cheek Lounge. That's so bad. Isn't that I'd hang myself too. That's terrible.
That's where you're at.
I don't mean that. That was at the Cheek to Cheek Lounge, you know.
So he had that song, Me and You and a Dog Named Boo, right?
Yeah.
He recorded that at Electric Lady Studios.
In New York City.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was he Canadian?
No, he's from He was from Florida.
No, he was from
Winter Park, Florida. Yeah.
Whatever happened to Lobo? What was Lobo's real name?
His real name is Roland Kent Lavrie.
Lavrie.
Yeah.
Sounds French Canadian.
How Lobo can
or maybe it's Lavoir, you know. I don't know.
Lobo means wolf, right? Or is that short?
And Lobo means wolf. Yeah.
Means wolf. So he went by the name of Wolf. Was he like a singer-songwriter, mountain man kind of guy? Like the early 70s had a lot of guys like that. Michael Martin Murphy. Yeah,
this was like, Me and You, the Dog Named Boo was 1971.
71, wow.
Then he had, Baby, I'd Love You to Want. That was 1972. Then he had another one, he had a couple other minor hits after that, but he's still there. He's still out there, still alive. And, but I found it interesting that he was in a band with Jim Stafford and Graham Parsons.
Yeah. Two very different songwriters there.
But they were all from they were all from Florida, Winter Park, Florida.
I'm proud to say I'm too young to know who Lobo was. Sorry, had to say that.
Lobo was a name on a diner.
Mark, you're just so young, Mark. Don't forget. We're Perry, all on the back nine of life, Mark.
Your children are older than mine, mister, okay?
Well, Perry, I will tell you something, though. I can tell you right now
you're so young, Mark. How do you know?
I know I will love every song from Lobo because everything's fabulous. Everything's freaking fabulous.
Mr. Fabulous. Mr. Fabulous cannot even say anything bad about Hootie and the Blowfish. Like, come on.
All right, I hate Hootie and the Blowfish. You like that? Yeah. I hate them. And I hate Bare Naked Ladies.
Well, I've heard testament that you both hate both those bands. Because every time I look at you, I go blind. Yeah. That's a bad song. I don't care.
So how about I go into my one-hit wonder?
And then are we going to talk about a certain album we listened to?
Yeah.
What is the running order here? We're having a chaotic episode.
All right, so listen, we're gonna go into the one-hit wonders. Then Lou said he wants to talk about a little bit of fluff, right?
Das Fluffen, ja. Der Badenfluffen, ja.
Yeah.
And
listen, if we want to do 914 next episode or whatever, because what I did want to say was that the guy who ran at Brooks Arthur did pass away last week. So maybe we should do it. Since we did 914 Studios with the phones, nobody's heard us. So maybe we should just redo it, like do a whole
I don't remember covering 914 at all.
Yeah, because I brought up that I was driving to work every day past the place.
Yes.
Yeah, Blauvelt. I keep saying Orange.
Well, that was just a passing remark. Yeah, but you want to go in depth? Yeah, we're going to do some research and.
But just the fact that we just mentioned we're just talking about that randomly, and Mark mentioned that the owner just died last week. This is the whole thing.
That was my third news story.
Synchronicity.
Oh, that was your third.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
let's get it together another time. But we will say that he did pass away, and something else about Brooks Arthur. When he moved to L.A. after he closed the studio, he's responsible for everybody's favorite song, the Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler. He produced that. So.
Did he produce it in 914 Studios?
No, in L.A. He moved to L.A.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we should. We should talk about the studio again because they did, and also the fact that early on he was the he worked with the Shangri-Las on Leader of the Pack and Walking in the Sand. So the guy's got a little bit of rock and roll.
Nice.
connection.
All right. So
The
we'll
Shangri-Las they're my favorite girl group.
Tough.
They're my favorites.
Tough.
Yeah.
We will
They were
catalog
tough.
this. This will go on the shelf for the next episode.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me kick in my one-hit wonder and see if you guys know the song. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, Lou.
Mr. Carter.
I hope I'm not. Is that? How do you do? It's Smash Mouth. Mush Mouth.
And then we can, and I just like before and you.
They were called Mouth and McNeil.
Mouth and McNeil. Mouth
And then
McNeil.
the song was called How Do You
do?
All right, I don't remember Louis Armstrong recording it, but okay.
I got it.
You got it.
You threw me a bone because you fucked me up last week. You ended my streak.
I
son
didn't
of a
throw
bitch.
you a bone. That is not a bone. Yeah.
No.
Which one
Now-
of the 10 little Louis did you throw a bone to?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Yep. I have no idea what he's talking
That's
about.
inside relish.
Okay, now. I wasn't prepared to play my
I'm
one.
funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. No, no, you said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the fuck am I funny? What the fuck is
Keep going,
funny
keep going.
about me?
I don't know.
Tell me what's funny.
Oh, shit.
Now.
Beer run,
Wilma!
Fred. What's going on?
That was the Jetsons.
You
Okay,
have a
here's my
one-hit
one-hit
wonder?
wonder. I do.
Let's do it.
Now, there might be a contention about this, but I challenge all comers because this man has written many a hit song for other people with other people. But as far as I know, he's only had one hit
Well,
of his own.
before you do it, I agree with Scott McLean that there's a criteria.
Yes, there is.
You know, you crack the top 40 once and you go away. That's a one-hit wonder. There's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It's got to be top 40 for me.
top
Now,
40.
the thing
yeah.
is, now it's funny. This past week, I've tried to find. I had 3. I'm like, these are the great obscure one-hit wonders. 3 of them. Each one of them had 2 hits in the top 40, and the other hits I couldn't even remember, but they were in there. One was like, so I couldn't do it. But they were good. They were good songs. I'm like, I got it. But no, I don't. Now I noticed on the last Milk Crates show, one of the comments said, "How about 2-hit wonders?" But that's another.
Well, I had a few
Yeah,
duds.
well, you guys spoke about, or Jack may have mentioned Radar Love, and then the other one, Bullet Hits the Bone. You know, right?
2 top
Golden
40
Earring.
hits.
Yeah. A decade apart, but still.
Rupert Holmes, the Pina Colada song, and the song called "Him." What's
Yes.
she gonna do about him?
Yeah,
or do
big song.
about me? Doom.
But like Jack Calabrese points out, but Rupert Holmes has written so many other songs that have been in the top 40 for that other people have recorded.
And Broadway.
Yep.
All right, so the year was 1979 again.
Wow.
This is a one-hit wonder. I don't know what's going to play here because I wasn't expecting to play this, but let's see what goes. See if you can call it.
It's got that 1950 style.
It does,
If we pass 30 seconds.
Who is it? Is it Marshall Crankshaft?
Oh. No.
Rocky Burnett?
You were close in a way. It is J.D. Souther. You're only lonely.
J.D. Souther. Wow.
I think it might have hit number 7. It's his only solo. Now his other top 40 or maybe a top 10 was with a duet with James Taylor. This used to be Her Town. A really nice song.
That's a great song.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's a duet, but it's on a James Taylor record. So
Right.
that is, as far as I know, that is J.D. Souther's only solo hit. And that was a big hit in
Did he
79.
co-write that with James Taylor?
You're only
Used to
I
be heard. That's a nice song.
I think it's him, James, so maybe another writer or two. But you figure he wrote, he co-wrote.
John David Souther. Yeah.
John David Souther. He co-wrote New Kid in Town, Victim of Love, a whole bunch of other Eagles songs. Now, in him and Jackson Browne.
I thought Bernie Ledden wrote Victim of Love.
No, Bernie Ledden, he was out of the band.
Oh, he wrote Witchy Woman.
Yeah, no, I think Victim of Love, I think J.D. Souther might have wrote some of the lyrics, but he's on that.
Oh.
Several songs on Hotel California and other records too. But
yeah, he was kind of on like Take It Easy. He was kind of like and had something to do with Take It Easy, didn't he?
No, that was him and Jackson Browne. But J.D. Souther and Jackson Browne are on the cover of the Eagles' second record. They're the Dead Cowboys on the beginning of the front cover.
When Glenn Frey says they were taking peyote buttons.
Yeah,
and they went out there and
And Don Henley said we were just playing cowboy for a lot of money. How much?
Kenny Rogers.
Feeling lucky, punk. Pull that one out of thin air, man.
He pulled it out of his. Sorry.
Out of his.
Pulled it out of his arse.
Beep beep.
Okay, so that was our 2-1.
I wouldn't. J.D. Souther, man. So he had a solo hit.
Yeah. Now, when I first heard that song, I thought it was the Eagles because I thought he sounded like Glenn Frey.
Mm-hmm.
Now, apparently, there was some thing about him maybe joining the Eagles at one point, but I read where Randy Meisner was not so hot on the idea for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe the vocal combination or something. I don't know.
Probably because he kind of did what Glenn Frey does.
Yeah. Lots of politics.
Not a lead guitar player. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. He's a songwriter, but I mean, a really good singer. The vocal on that, that's a very good vocal on that song. Yeah,
no, but I mean, as far as the Eagles go, they don't need another Glenn Frey.
Right,
You need a Don Felder or, somebody like that.
Exactly. And the fact that I thought him and Frey's voices were a little similar. Well, it's funny because J.D. Souther and Glenn Frey were in Long Branch Penny Whistle together. That was when they did a record.
I remember reading that in some
in a
before
book. The Eagles
in a book.
In a book, I read a book.
But J.D. Souther seems to be more traditional country influence, whereas Glenn was an R&B guy, right?
R&B and rock, I think. Yeah. Now J.D. Souther, like I said, the niche he had was great. I mean, he could play when he wanted to, but he co-wrote a lot of stuff. Linda Ronstadt, quite a few hits for Linda Ronstadt. I can't recall them now. But when you look at him now, you see pictures of him, he looks like he's a double for Clint Eastwood. They look almost like
really?
They look almost identical.
He's tall and lean. Yep.
Yeah, he's got that almost like gunfighter look.
Kind of like Hank Williams, tall and lean.
Yep.
And
in fact, he might have had the book, Famous History of Gunfighters. That was the inspiration for the Eagles' Desperado album and the album cover as well.
Looks a little like Arnold too,
Yeah, there he is.
Well, that looks like, I don't know, who was that? The governor of California? What is that?
Yeah, right. No, but he does look like Clint. Yeah,
he's got that look. Souther. Go ahead.
You know what was on this morning when I woke up?
The news.
Glenn Ross.
I've been in this business 15 years.
What's your name?
Fuck you.
Ball.
That's my name. You know why, mister? Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name.
All right. Finish Alec Baldwin's
it.
line. The good news is you're all fired. The bad news is I gotta give you a chance to get your job back or something. Yeah, I can't remember.
First prize, the Cadillac Eldorado. You want to see second prize? Set of steak knives.
That's because I'm Ricky Roma. I took a giant 12-hour bowel movement. He said something like, taking a giant. I mentioned a bodily function. I'm sorry.
This is going nowhere.
So sorry.
Oh my God.
We went. Oh, stop. Oh, whatever. That's a legitimate line from that movie.
Yeah.
Ricky Roma. What
a great character! What a great character Al Pacino had in that movie.
Yeah, he did.
All of them. Yeah. All of them are good.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. Well, it was a Broadway show, right? And
David Mamet.
David Mamet just adapted it to the movies, right?
Was Joe Mantegna and Joe
Mantegna did one of the I don't know if it was in Chicago or if it was in New York, but Joe Mantegna did it for a while. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Where were we?
So we did our one-hit wonders. So now, Lou, do you want to go into like what were you talking about before? Pink Floyd or something? Or
Yeah, I have a little.
yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to call it a sonic similarity. Mark, I'm going to do my song first.
Okay.
So this is something I was listening to a lot of Pink Floyd this week.
Yeah.
And I heard a song, and it was reminiscent of a song from another band. Let's see if I got it. Oh.
Music relish intermission.
Yep. A brief one, though. Albeit a brief.
We have music relish steak knives for a low price.
And bobbleheads and Pez dispensers. Perry's got a great T-shirt on, by the way.
Oh, Generation Jones.
It is speaking for the generation to which Perry and I belong to. Mark, being the young boy that he is, doesn't quite qualify.
Oh yeah. Mr. Fabulous is just so
Everything
young.
is fabulous.
Yeah.
Everything is fabulous.
No,
You know what, Mark?
we really couldn't see the shirt, Perry.
Mark, we all have more yesterdays than tomorrows, man. You know. So
That's right. That's right.
Nice. Okay, here goes. Now this is the song is Pink Floyd's "Matilda Mother." I'll try to get to the point here.
Hanging in my infant
Nope. Nope.
Sounds like an ad.
was now when was that and who is that?
That is Pink Floyd. I think from the first record. I think that is from the
Yes.
Piper at the Gates of
No,
Dawn.
so was that Sid Barrett?
I believe so. The song's called Matilda Mother, but now Mark's going to play a song by Blue Oyster Cult called Fireworks.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait.
Does he have to?
Yes, he does. I was expecting a drum roll.
Ready?
Oh wait, you want a drum roll? Hold on.
Yeah, I want a drum roll.
Give me a second.
I want to roll in bed with honey.
I'm playing it.
Okay.
On you
Dead air.
fuck you.
The melody line.
I do see similarities. I do hear similarities. Yeah.
I'll cut it for 30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Very similar.
Very similar. I don't know if they're in the same key, but when I heard or listened to the Pink Floyd record, I'm like,
So what is the timeline on these things? Like when was that Pink Floyd record? When was the Blue Oyster Cult record?
10 years. 10 or 11 years. The first record was
Spectre's
Piper's was
77.
60. Spectre was 77.
Yeah,
Okay. And Piper at the Gates of Dawn was 67.
think so. Yeah.
So it's a decade. I hope I
Not
didn't
long.
get anybody in trouble.
Not
No.
long.
But
Well, I
there's a
I do hear the influence. I do. Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's not my info, man. That was it's definitely like there's a big similarity there in melody as far as the
But
vocal line
that
goes.
was actually Sid Barrett singing, not Dave Gilmour.
I don't think Dave Gilmour. He was not in the band then.
Oh, that's right.
No, he wasn't.
68. I think 68 when
Yeah.
because I heard the story on a documentary that Roger Waters was saying like they were doing a live TV show somewhere and Sid just started banging out one note on the guitar. One note
Wow.
out of tune and like like
Yeah. By the way, you know who wrote Fireworks,
Avant-garde.
Lou? You know who wrote
that?
Fireworks?
I thought Patti Smith.
Albert Bouchard.
Well, I knew he wrote it and sang, but I thought he had a co-writer.
No,
Or it's
it's
just him alone.
Well,
Oh.
don't believe everything you read on the internet, but I'm seeing Albert Bouchard. So,
Okay, I believe
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
The best member of Blue Oyster Cult. Yeah, the best. I don't care. I'll go on and on forever. It doesn't matter.
The line is kicking. The warning is kicking in. We got to stop talking about these bands.
Before we go further, I think there's a pizza at the door. Hang on a second.
Okay.
so yeah when
Pepperoni
You
pizza!
better give us a piece of pizza.
when Lou picks up his Domino's or Pizza Hut or
Oh, don't insult him. This is Asheville. It's going to be some foo-foo pizza. It's going to have
get out of
like,
here. Let me
it's
tell
gonna be
you, we've both been down there. There's like first off, they have a restaurant. It's called Asian restaurant. Like no, it's called Oriental restaurant. Like So what does that mean?
It's gonna be a Bobby Flay concocted type pizza. I guarantee it's gonna have like sprigs of wild chestnuts and all that shit.
I do remember. I think you and I were down there, and then we ended up in this pizzeria somewhere downtown.
Yep.
And the pizza was so friggin' good. He's like, yeah, the guy's from New York.
Yeah. Oh, Asheville, of all the places I've been, and Seattle was dreamlines me and everything. I tell everybody, go to Asheville. That was great. Great. I love that city. Anybody should go to Asheville, but don't live there because Lou's getting tired of the people all coming down there. We can't allow that. So just go visit, leave, don't move there. Yep.
Yeah.
I just defended the integrity of Asheville, Lou.
What was it, Pizza Hut or Domino's?
Actually, I had delivered from New Jersey. It's cold. It's cold, and there's worms crawling over the pepperoni.
Listen to all that Pink Floyd, you have to be in a certain frame of mind. Right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm expanded.
Wait,
I listen to every record. Lisa, I'm sorry. No. Tony D's, Mark. Tony D's.
Lisa's.
No, Tony D's House of Cheese. I'm sorry. No.
All right, you win it because you are Italian. You win it. Okay. An Irishman cannot argue pizza. That's for sure.
No, it's all a matter of taste. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
No, Perry.
You're wrong, but you can question it.
No, Perry. All pizza's good. All pizza's fabulous.
Yeah,
I love all pizza.
Well, Mr. Fabulous strikes again. Mr. Fabulous strikes again.
No, I'm going to agree. Even bowling alley or rollering pizza, you're getting some bread. You're getting a starched plateau with some tomato, ketchup, and cheese on it. So it's still good.
So last week I mentioned to you guys about this Dwight Yoakam album called Under the Covers. So I'm curious what Ian Something thinks and what Mr. Fabulous thinks about the record.
Sawed it, the whole fucking thing. Sawed it. Kiss my bloody bullets.
So it's and Lou, you had said to me, you go, well, I can only take so much honky tonk. It's not a honky tonk record. It's jazz record, really.
Well, it's a very eclectic record.
Yes.
Can I start off?
Yeah.
Overall,
I have a couple samples here, so
okay.
I'll give you a couple samples. If first off, let me tell you before we start, I have no samples of things we said today. That's a Beatles song, not going near it.
Right.
And the Rolling Stones, last time, not going near it because those. Yeah.
Now
we don't want to play it. No.
As I was going to say, those are two. In my opinion, those are two of some of the best songs on that record. I'm going to say this. It was okay. I mean, I like Dwight Yoakam. I think he's a great artist. I'm not a big honky-tonk guy. It's got to be in certain doses. I like older country, but I'm going to say I think it's an okay record from an artist that is much more than okay. I think he's great. And as an actor, too, because we've been riffing on Sling Blade the last time.
Doyle Hargrave.
I mean, I like him just for that alone, but I mean...
I can't have you walking in here with fucking hammers and shit, Lou.
I reckon I'm to kill you with it. It's a good record. It's not like it was a fun record to make. It came out in 1997. So that's kind of, he wasn't all that well. I mean, he was in his career, but I mean, that's kind of a long time ago. Anyway.
He was famous, man.
Right. Well, he was, but he started in the mid '80s when he started.
Yeah, Guitars and Cadillacs was like a decade prior to that.
Okay. So he was one of them. Yeah. The first song, Claudette, that's a great song. Anyway, it was really well played. I like the drums on it. It's a good
hold on. Let's hear a little bit of it.
Okay.
It's got that Everly Brothers little thing happening there. Roy Orbison wrote that song.
That I didn't know. I thought that was like
Roy Orbison. That was about his wife. His wife was Claudette.
Oh wow,
Roy Orbison's wife. Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know Roy Orbison wrote that many songs.
Roy Orbison wrote Claudette. Yeah, okay. In fact, the Everly Brothers had asked him. They needed another song, and they asked Roy Orbison if he had any songs, and he gave him Claudette to use. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that one. I like the drumming on it.
Roy Orbison wrote that song.
Right. Yep. Now the album was produced by at that point Dwight Yoakam's guitarist Pete Anderson.
Pete Anderson, that's my guy, man. Yeah.
Great guitar player, and he's produced a lot of stuff too.
He's a telly guy. He's a telly guy. Yeah, but also, I've seen him with Stratocasters. But let me just say before we go any further that Pete Anderson, you'll find this interesting. You guys will find this interesting. When he records, he doesn't use amplifiers, only direct boxes.
Really?
He records with direct boxes. Now, live, of course, he uses amplifiers. But in the studio,
doesn't go for the classic Fender.
He goes
sound
he
or
uses
whatever.
Direct boxes. Yeah, he says he never records with amplifiers. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Just thought you guys might want to know that. Yeah.
That's a really interesting tidbit. Interesting. Whatever he does to get that sound he gets, a guitar and a guitar chord going into a mixing board. There's got to be something interfering, but he's not using an amp though, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. The second song, at first, I wasn't looking at song titles deliberately. Mm-hmm. The second song, I'm like, what is this? It was Train in Vain by The Clash. A great rendition of it. Really, really good. Some traditional, there's drums on it, but there's traditional bluegrass instruments. Accordion. By your man. Tell me something.
Now that I like there's accordion in it. It gives it a little like Mexican sort of, Mexican polka type.
Mexican, almost Cajun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
But I mean, there's a little South mixed with the South.
Yeah, right? And that's a Mick Jones, Joe Strummer. Yep.
But I like the fact that the lyrics of that really came across on that rendition, and the lyrics are simple. It's a great.
Absolutely,
it's a great example of songwriting because it's not, it's not saving the world. It's not, but the lyrics are really good. They work in both formats kind of really well. That's a really great song.
Absolutely,
yeah.
It's an interesting rendition of that song.
Yes, and the fact that I didn't recognize it at first, I was kind of like, what is that? I'm like, oh, what? This Train in Vain.
Yeah.
The third song, Tired of Waiting for the Kinks. I'm going to say this is to me. My ears totally preposterous. I don't know. I mean, I've heard.
You made it look like the Frank Sinatra sort of big band.
It sounded like he was doing it as a lark. To me, in my opinion, I mean, I've heard good renditions of that type of material, bad renditions, but
no, I don't think that at all. I think he's a super fan of that kind of music.
I know he is, but I thought it was. To me, it was just kind of bizarre. It was kind of funny.
Well, let's give it a few seconds. Hold on.
I thought the drumming was over the top. By the way.
I'm so tired of waiting for you.
Yeah,
it's not him. To me, it's not him.
That's Ray Davies wrote that song. Yep.
Yeah. That being said, I thought I said, was he? I don't know. I thought to me, it sounds preposterous in a way.
No, and think about the production. You would think
at the end, I'm so tired. I thought his rap at the end
there's a band, and there's all these things going on, and a lot of organ on the record too, which I like. A lot of like Hammond organ and those kind of things on the record too.
I thought he made.
You thought he made a mistake?
I thought he made a. Pat Boone sang kind of serious when he did his metal stuff. Only on this one song. I just.
Well,
That was. I thought this was a weird thing to do.
Oh, you thought it was like the cheesy Pat Boone, like.
I just some of the phrasing he was using on it. I was just like, that's just me. That's just me.
Thought, it's got like that. That Sinatra type Nelson Riddle.
Well, that was the idea behind it. Yeah.
Yep.
Good time. The next one, Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues.
Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues.
I'm not that familiar with it. I like the rendition, but I didn't have nothing to reference.
Yeah.
I thought Danny O'Keefe was the guy from Caddyshack.
No. You mean the actor?
or his character.
I don't know.
What was it called? Danny O'Keefe. I had no point of reference, but I thought that was an odd cover to put in there. I don't think it's.
I think that's an old Nashville song or something. Yeah.
Okay, so the next song, "Baby Don't Go." Sonny Bono was a good songwriter. That's a very melancholy song. But I know the lyrics were kind of bumming me out. I've heard the song by
and I don't like Sheryl Crow the way she sings.
I'm not that great about her, and maybe a couple songs. But I do like the fact that they resolved it where she was saying, "I won't leave."
She never had it mother.
Nice melody.
She hardly knew her dad.
Yeah, that was the Sonny and Cher song. Yeah.
His first lines are depressing. She hardly knew her dad. Anyway, so the next song is called Playboy by Eddie Miller and Bob Morris. I don't know. That's another one. I don't.
That's another old country song too.
But do you have a sample of that?
I don't.
Oh, because that sounds an awful lot like Roses Are Red.
Maybe Mark can find it.
Yep. Give me a second.
Yeah, so go on to another one, Lou, while he's searching for that one.
So, yeah, I thought that sounded very, very familiar to Roses Are Red by Bobby Vinton. The next song is the immortal Jimmy Webb composition, Wichita Lineman.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this was very unexpected. The fast tempo. It's a faster tempo. At first,
is.
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, what is he doing? But it worked. It really did work. There's some cool keyboard. You're mentioning the keyboards.
There's great organ in there.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
And Pete Anderson plays kind of loud guitar. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
It does. It's a fast for I am a lineman for the county.
It worked. I wrote a note. I said a good original take on a great song.
Yeah, and it goes.
So I think that's one of the highlights of the record.
With the organ.
That's right.
Punches.
Yeah. But now talk about a song that if you do a bad version of that song, you're a bad music. I mean, like,
you should die.
You should. You really string them up by the SO sign like Mussolini by their heels. It's something where the song is so sublime to begin with. Don't fuck it up. If you're gonna do it, do it right. Yep. Do it right. Freddie Johnston, being a Kansas man, a guy from Kansas, he did it right. The Glenn Campbell's version, and some of it in the late '60s. There have been other versions of that song. We mentioned that last episode where Hal Blaine, the great drummer, played on all 3 hit versions.
You
of
had
that song.
said that, yeah.
But
Dwight Yoakam, I like the Dwight Yoakam version a lot.
I do too. I was very, very pleased with it. Mark, how are we doing now?
We got it. You want to hear it?
We got it? Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Playboy by Dwight, as done by Dwight Yoakam.
It's Nashville, yep.
Yeah.
Or even Texas.
Right. Keep going. Yeah, blue.
Yeah.
Roses are sweet. Yeah. I'm doing plagiarism stuff. I did Blue Oyster Cult and Pink Floyd. Now I'm doing Dwight Yoakam and whoever wrote that.
Well, we have to do a redux of these stolen riffs, right? And,
that's right. Yeah.
Tom,
I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
Tom, I won't let him mention BOC anymore. I promise. Okay, I promise. You guys are killing me. He's kidding.
Yeah. Tell him you won't mention Steven Wilson either again.
He mentioned it on Facebook. Tom, knock it off. he was waxing cowbell on Facebook.
All right, Lou, what else have you got?
Okay. So, I really like that. So the next song, Here Comes the Night, written by Burt Burns.
We know that.
Right?
This is Van Morrison and Them.
Yeah.
From Bang Records.
I can see her right out my window.
He does a little reggae version of it. Yeah.
Yes. Now, that also sounds like Pete Anderson playing that. It was a 6-string bass.
Yeah, he does play 6-string bass on it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here
Played
comes
on
the
Playboy
night.
too.
Yeah.
I definitely heard 6-string bass on Playboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Burt Burns is someone we've mentioned too. He's another guy, songwriter, producer, music industry insider.
Yep.
But it sounds like someone who is very beneficial to the industry.
Yeah.
And,
he wrote the song, and Van Morrison's band, Them, recorded it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were connected through Bang Records and all those, through contracts and all those things. Yep.
Yeah. Now the next record song is the Jagger Richards composition, "The Last Time." Really good version. Really good version
of it. Yeah. Not playing it.
I think it's the best song on the record. Overall, I think it's the best song on the record. Also, it's a testament.
It's sort of a like a cowpunk version of it. Yeah.
But totally worked. It just shows what a great song it was that Jagger and Richards wrote.
Yeah.
Originally. The instrumentation, I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, really good job, man. Good job. Yeah. The next song is a Beatles song, the Lennon McCartney song, "Things We Said Today."
Yeah.
I know we're not going to play it. It's a good version.
We're not going to play it, but it's a great version of it. Yeah.
That
interesting
intro
version. Yeah.
It's that intro riff. It sounds like something else.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
I can't think of it. It does remind me of another song. I can't think of the name of it. But it's very different. It wasn't what I was expecting to have that kind of riff. He came up with his own riff in front of a Beatles song. That's pretty ballsy.
Yeah.
They did pretty well on their own. But I like the way he did the guitar chords and the whole sound of it.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorite Beatles songs anyway. Great McCartney song. So I mean, I just think overall it's a good record. I said okay originally, but it's a good record. But I think it could have been better in some ways. I think some of those more obscure songs he could have added other ones that were more well known, given his pretty good talent for doing different versions.
I'm a Dwight Yoakam fan. I have lots of Dwight Yoakam records. I've seen him a few times, and you know what I do not like about Dwight Yoakam records? The drumming. The drumming is just very, very stiff. And
obvious. There
was programming on here too. There were actual drum programming.
Pete Anderson.
Yeah, I thought the drumming was okay. On some things better than others, but a lot of it does sound. I thought
it's all snare. It's all snare.
Well, some of that shuffle snare work that might be the drum machine. But there is a drummer.
Could very well be. There was a drummer, but there was also programming. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next song is "North to Alaska." That's a guy written by a guy named Mike
Johnny. But Johnny Horton, I think, had the hit with that or something.
You mean in 1814 we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down to Monty, Mississippi?
Might be, yeah.
And there's 6-string bass on that, but that was another song I had no reference to, but I liked it.
Yeah.
The next song, "T for Texas," written by Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah, I know Jimmy Rogers well. There was the singing brakeman. Yep.
Well, yes, the blue yodeler. Now, this was something when I read about him. This is what I want to talk about in conjunction with this record. That when we mentioned train songs, we omitted Jimmy Rogers.
Yeah. Well, it's not on my record. I don't have the copy of.
Okay.
You must have. Where'd you get it on Spotify?
I got it.
Yeah. I have the actual CD and the Jimmy Rogers "T for Texas." It's not on there.
Right. Now,
T for Texas, T for Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, he's in the jailhouse now.
Jimmy Rogers. Yeah.
He was, like you said, he was known as the singing brakeman. He had a career on the railroad. He had tuberculosis. He died at the age of 35 in New York City from a pulmonary hemorrhage.
Embolism.
Embolism as a result of tuberculosis.
Wow.
He's also called the father of country music. Is that valid? Is that apt?
He was, and he was a blues guy too. Yeah.
Yes, he was. Now I've seen some old videos of him playing. He could play guitar really well.
He was really good. Playing an old Martin guitar and
Yep. They've traced him back. His origins, his birthplace is possibly or most likely Meridian, Mississippi.
Yeah. Yep.
He recorded most of his well-known material at Victor Studios in Camden, New Jersey.
Wow.
So he spent his last years in New York City.
That's practically Philadelphia. Yeah.
Right? So songs that he was known for, T for Texas, In the Jailhouse Now, Mississippi Delta Blues, like you said, Perry, he was a blues singer as well. And Blue Yodel
and the Yodeler, yeah. John Fogerty recorded that on the Blue Ridge Rangers.
Oh, shit. There you go.
Yep.
Now, there's another Jimmy Rogers that was a country singer in the 50s, not to be confused, but
many times confused, yeah.
He had a big hit. She had kisses sweeter than wine.
Right, yeah.
And he had one other one, but they're totally unrelated. But when I read about, when I Googled Jimmy Rogers, I found that in 1927, he moved to Asheville, North Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah, so in March...
Yeah, I think I read that he moved there for the mountain air. For
this was a place where people came. There Hot Springs... Actually, my son, Louis, lives near Hot Springs, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people went to. It was like a what do they call that? Like a restorative, whatever. But he moved in 1927, living at the Western Hotel in a cabin behind the Pisgah View Apartments, which I know where they are. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived in a fire station. He had several jobs, including a janitor, a cab driver, and he was a detective. All right.
Wow.
And on April 18th, 1927, at 9:30 p.m., Jimmy and Otis Kuykendall, Kuykendall. I see the name on a lot of streets around here.
K1.
There must have been a local family, Kuykendall. They performed for the first time on WWNC, Asheville's first radio station. So he was here before it was cool.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so but that was something where maybe one of the original train guys, but he learned his craft from working on the railroad. He learned it from hobos, people who actually rode the boxcars.
Oh yeah, yep. He was the real deal. Jimmy
He was the
Rogers.
real deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
Jimmy Rogers. Yeah,
Like Woody.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was my little tidbit as related to the Dwight Yoakam record.
Very cool. Mark Smith, Mr. Fabulous. How
All
do
right,
you
so
feel? How do you feel about the Dwight Yoakam?
Well, first
record?
of all, I just want to reply to Lou. Asheville's always been cool. Don't say before cool. Asheville's fucking cool.
It is, but we're experiencing a.
It's too popular now. I know.
There are some. I'm going to call them growing pains. Right
Yeah. It'll calm down. It'll calm down.
You can only grow so far. But it was really cool when I moved here because it was cool because I moved here in 2006.
Yeah, exactly. Little Jersey and Nashville, really.
Yeah.
They love it.
Right.
They love it. And
all modesty aside, right?
Yes. Humility.
When me and Perry came down, we loved those egg and mayonnaise sandwiches. They were the fucking bomb.
While you were out getting your pizza, I was talking to Mark about the pizza, and I was telling Mark that we had this pizza, and like, holy shit, this pizza's great. The guy was from New York that made that pizza. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. When I first moved here, there was no pizza, but now there's more Yankees have moved out.
And I was telling them there was a restaurant just called Oriental Restaurant. Like, well, that's pretty vague.
Yeah, that's right. On Merriman Avenue.
And Lou, I was telling Perry, I said, oh, it's Asheville. Lou's probably getting some Bobby Flay pizza with sprigs of some stuff we don't know on it and some foo-foo
well,
shit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of that down there, too, you know.
Well,
you also have a lot of people with dirty feet, too.
This is true. You don't want to stop on your grapes. The food scene has improved, but as far as pizza, you can get your New York street pizza, your New Jersey street pizza. You can also get a little more of the fancier variety, but But like I said, now when you come down, I'm going to make you pizza.
Awesome.
I make good pizza.
But also Bojangles chicken.
Yes, that's right. Now, Popeye's fried chicken has made their way down here, and Popeye's was my favorite chicken chain in the Northeast. But Bojangles has got
Bojangles.
It's got them all beat, man. It's
Bojangles, yeah.
Gives you gas too.
Of course.
And remember that baseball movie? What was the baseball movie from North Carolina?
A League of Their Own?
No. The one from North Carolina.
Major League.
With Susan Sarandon.
Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins. And
Susan, yeah.
Can't remember that one. The name
it was called Bull Durham.
Bull
Durham. And on the fence back there was a big Bojangles chicken sign. You know.
That's funny.
And when he was no longer with that team, he got traded to the Asheville Tourists.
Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Now when you go to an Asheville Tourist baseball game, if you want the box, there's the Bojangles box. They had their own little thing on the side there. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Now that is where when I took Louis, my son, to his first baseball game there, and because I'd take us through a industry contact, we were in the Bojangles section. Louis got a what do you call it, a foul ball. His first baseball game, he got to get a foul ball handed to him by a guy of the opposite team. The Tourists lost.
Wow.
Nice.
I think they had a losing season that year. But it was fun.
Caught a ball. All right, man.
Yeah.
So where are we going? Where are we going, man? I gotta give my review. Mark talk about Dwight Yoakam, Pappy Yoakam. Yeah.
Mark's got to levy his 2 cents.
Perry, when you gave me that album, I put it on my turntable.
Yes, Mr. Fabulous.
I put the first track on. Faster than Kramer said that melon was no good. I took it off. That was the worst piece of shit vinyl I ever committed. I threw my turntable out. It was so bad. I had to burn my turntable. I hate everything about this album.
May I say
everything?
May I say you're so full of shit. I can see it coming out of your ears.
And I hope I'm not hurting your feelings because you're a Dwight guy.
You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
All right, a little background. Perry, you gave me a copy of this when you were at the laundromat together, and I told you because I loved Dwight Yoakam before. For years. I didn't know about this album. So you gave me a copy.
You gave me a couple Dwight Yoakam records that I didn't have also. Yeah.
Oh, man. I was introduced to Dwight by Kevin Pauly, who, if I ever catch him again, he will be on the show.
Mark's my friend. You're my friend, Mark.
Kevin grew up, he has roots in West Virginia, so he's got that Piedmont thing. He knows his shit. He's great. Anyway, so you gave me the album, and I put it in, I played it, and I got to tell you, initially, my first time I heard it was I didn't like the traditional country songs because cover albums are tricky. When you do cover albums, what do? Do you copy it direct? that's kind of you sound like a cover band, right? They suck.
Do your own rendition of it. Yeah.
So I put it in this. Now, this is the first time, I played it. Now, this Claudette was just pedestrian to me.
Mm-hmm.
Then I heard Train in Vain. Yeah, traditional country, but it was a Clash song. And I was like, this is freaking great. So, but my opinion has changed. But yeah, Train in Vain, stand out. That's like right away stands out to me.
Yep.
Just an awesome version. It should have been on the radio, in my opinion, because country versions of rock songs are very popular. Why it wasn't a big hit, I don't know, or, relatively played on the radio. But Dwight doesn't go with the country standard. He doesn't go with the flow. He's a little bit, which I like, But the one that stood out to me initially was Tired of Waiting for You. That song, and it still is, to me, if Wichita Alignment wasn't on this album, Tired of Waiting for You would be my favorite song on this album because totally rearranged it.
It's an interesting rendition of that.
Lou,
yeah,
I hated it.
Lou, it's fabulous. It's fabulous.
I
like it. I really like it because I didn't know Dwight could sing that kind of a arrangement and sound good. He sounds great.
Sounds like it was recorded at the Capitol Tower or something.
Yeah. Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues, comfortable song. Don't know the original, but when I hear it, I'm like, it's comfortable. It's a good song, and you like it. And because I like Dwight, it's a connection with the old sound. Baby Don't Go, great song. I guess Cheryl fits on this, but he could have gotten any number of other singers. Cheryl is a big star, so maybe that's why she's on it.
Cheryl is overrated. Yeah, okay.
She's got, remember, Lou, we were talking about how Jackson Brown has the demo voice for recordings, and I don't want to bring Jackson down to her level. But she's got that demo voice when she sings. It's like if you hear it and you're like, oh, she's just filling in for what we were saying, Perry Cher. If Cher was going to do it, can you just sing the lines? Go
ahead, Mark.
It's like a place. It's a place filling position there. She could have, like I said, she sat in for somebody just to do a guide vocal so he could sing with somebody.
Man, she's not that good. Yeah.
Well,
someone else could have easily done better. I think.
Absolutely.
She's written some great songs, but she's lucky she's as popular as she is with her voice. She's just not a powerful singer.
You know who would have done well in there? Stevie Nicks. Somebody could really sing.
Well, Perry, you said Cher, and I think Cher would have been really good on that.
Cher would have been good in there too.
Yeah. Baby, don't go.
Well, she wouldn't have done that because that was a Sonny and Cher song. She wouldn't have been on that.
Yeah, you're right.
Chrissy Hine could have done it.
Yeah.
Anybody could have done it better than
Didn't Chrissy Hine do I Got You
Cheryl,
Babe with UB40?
Then Sheryl Crow.
Yeah. It was 97. She was
Sheryl Crow, who I am telling you is going to be nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame next year because there was a documentary about her called Cheryl.
Exactly. I agree with you.
I'm telling you, you watch. Mark my words, I will bet you $1.
I don't think so.
I'll bet you $1. Next year, she's nominated to Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Two things I'm willing to bet on. I'm willing to bet that she will be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this is for Jack and Scott. Yes, Oasis are reforming because the money doesn't lie. The money is too talented.
Well, may I say that Jack Calabrese is adamant. And I think if you throw enough money at Oasis, they'll probably do something.
I think so.
Yeah, but my son-in-law, Takena, says nope. And he, that band is his biggest band.
Scott McLean is adamant, too, that no way they're getting back together. No way.
Yeah.
So,
you know what?
We shall see. We
didn't think Porcupine Tree would get back together, but
like on Todd Rundgren's Something Anything album, he's got a little nonsense in there. He's like, throw money. Throw money at Oasis, and they may do it,
They could do a tour with the Kinks. The Kinks and Oasis can do a double tour.
That's been in the rumor pipe for a long time, Kinks.
I don't think Sheryl Crow's going to get into the Rock and Roll.
I think so. It's a politics.
I think there's too much
people.
But I still think there's too much scrutiny now. I think they're coming under scrutiny a little bit about who's getting in, who's not getting in, who should be in.
All right, so for the next couple of years,
I'm going to say no.
They're going to induct a shitload of rock bands.
Not yet.
All right, next couple of years, you're going to see a shitload of rock bands in
America.
Then they're going to go back to. All right, maybe you're right. Yeah. Let me get back to my review. Playboy, love it. Didn't see Lou's angle of it.
What song was it?
Playboy.
Oh yeah, that old country song. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good. But again, initially it didn't stand out to me because I wanted to hear him cover rock tunes,
Yeah.
But I'm listening this time around. I get, it's like, and I didn't catch that little thing there, but
you weren't getting the Bobby Vinton reference.
nah. But I'm Irish, Lou. I mean, we don't get those things.
Bobby Vinton bought us champagne.
He was Polish.
Listen, I get ketchup.
Roses are red, my love.
I get ketchup on spaghetti. That's all I get.
Oh yeah, druga yachiko.
You get ketchup on your egg noodles. That's what you get.
No,
Means that I love you so.
I have not had ketchup on my spaghetti since my grandma did it. Okay, so
Okay. All
right. So you're
I
gonna
get to live the rest of my life like a schnook.
Snooky. So my opinion, Wichita Lineman by Dwight Yoakam is my favorite version of it. I
really?
freaking love it.
I like that version of it too. First off, you can't touch Glenn Campbell, man. No one will ever touch Jimmy Webb, Glenn Campbell. No one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but Dwight has a way and of doing like he's haunting when he wants like his vocals and everything. So like time, 1,000 Miles from Nowhere is the song that got me into him. That's a haunting song.
That song is haunting.
Yes, it is.
And the video is haunting too, by the way.
Yeah.
She's on a train.
Yeah. And then in addition, Ain't That Lonely Yet too, it's a haunting song. So I say he took that way of that doing those songs and he interpreted Wichita Lineman in that way. I know it's faster, but I love Dwight. So that arrangement to me, Pete Anderson, it was like, bam, fuck. So I love it. I could listen to that 20 times over and just not.
Oh, by the way, I had the pleasure of seeing Pete Anderson too when he played with Dwight Yoakam.
Really?
The second time I saw Dwight Yoakam, Pete Anderson wasn't there. For some reason, he couldn't make the show, and they had another guitar player fill in who was just as good. They're playing Telecasters, of course, and
Yeah.
When did Dwight Yoakam and Pete Anderson part ways? Because I heard at that point, because some financial issues with some of the records that he put out, he couldn't afford to keep Pete Anderson as a producer, guitar player. The guy came with he's so good he came with a price tag.
I don't know, but then Dwight has moved on to.
I wonder if it had something to do, whatever record it had to do with, but like there was something where he's like, I can't afford you, and sadly, well, I don't think it was an acrimonious thing. But that guy,
I'm really not sure because he was with him from the Guitars and Cadillacs days.
Yeah.
Until through '97, right when this record came out, right?
Yeah,
they'll get back together. Trust me, they will. Dwight's going to get older.
I'm sure that they don't dislike each other. It's just
but I'm telling you, when Dwight turns 68 and he's getting older, and Pete's up there, they're going to do some albums together. That always happens.
So you're saying within the next 2 years they're going to get together?
Ooh, I don't.
Yeah, but Dwight Yoakam,
Dwight's 65.
He went a little rock. Dwight Yoakam went a little rock and roll after that too. He evolves too. Dwight Yoakam. He's not just a honky tonk guy.
I'm going to touch on that in a second because. But anyway, let me just. Here Comes the Night was another, just like Tired of Waiting for You rearrangement. That the first time I heard it, I said, this arrangement, in the verses, he goes into kind of a quasi reggae thing, and great arrangement of it. The last time, just like with Tired of Train in Vain, it's like he's doing a rock and roll song, and he's rearranging it. And again, I'm thinking like this could be on the radio, and Dwight's not concerned with that, thank God, but if somebody at a record label had heard that, they might have tried to market it, Things we said today, it just shows that Beatles songs performed by any competent musician that is good at his craft sound great, And then Pete Anderson's arrangement on that, again, it just stands out. Yep.
That guitar, it's almost like a Katie Lang song. There's something in there. It's not a ripoff, but it's
you
something.
Say you will love.
Yeah. Yep. And then North to Alaska, it didn't stand out the first time. I'd say if there's the two weaker songs on the album for me, not that they're bad, but North to Alaska and Claudette, because they kind of fit Dwight Yoakam. So I'm hearing a covers album. I'm sure if you put like Claudette on any other album, I loved it. I'm not saying I don't like it, but the thing is, it's like when you've got these great rearrangements of songs on the album, they kind of like
Yeah.
I wish Dwight had done more rock covers.
But think about the palette though. So Dwight Yoakam's gonna, he tells Pete, I'm gonna do an album of covers. Or they had the meeting together. Well, anyway, we're gonna do this Clash song, and I want to do the Sonny and Cher song, and I want to do this Roy Orbison's or this Everly Brothers song. It's very wide. It's very wide ranging.
Right, and let's not forget, Dwight Yoakam grew up on rock and roll. He loves all the rock bands we like. He likes Led Zeppelin. He likes The Who. I listen to his show on Sirius where he talks, and he grew up on, but he also grew up on country. Now, Lou, I'm going to tell you something, though, about the whole the sound. His last, I'd say, starting in 2012, I took my son to see him. He played up at Bel Air Ski Plaza by my dad's old house in Pine Hill, New York. It's the side of a mountain. In the summer, they had a little tiny stage. Maybe 500 people could fit under a tent. Dwight Yoakam played, and he was touring behind an album called Three Pairs. It was still country, but it was more of a rock and roll with a twang. I can't describe it. It was nothing like the older stuff. And my son, even though he's reluctant, he's not going to like Dwight Yoakam. He admitted it was a great show. He had, they had their nudie. Dwight didn't. The band had nudie suits or copies of nudie suits. Oh. And his guitar player was some young hotshot guy with a Telecaster. What do you call that thing where your hip controls it? You bend it?
That's a B-string bender.
The B-string bender.
His guitar player had that, and he was freaking great with it. Dwight was just dressed out in denim. Dwight was hilarious at that show because he was having trouble that night. He was handling it good. He was kind of like discombobulated. So there was one part, he had to grab before he did a song, he had to grab his harmonica, and he dropped it. When he dropped it, because it's only 500 people under a tent, somebody laughed out loud. Now, you know how Dwight's face looks, right? So he's going to pick up the harmonica. Somebody laughs. He just looks around with that face with the brim down over his eyes, and he looks out at them. But that cracked up the whole crowd. We were all laughing.
Yeah.
Great show. But he's put out Three Pairs, and then he put out an album called Secondhand Heart. These two albums they got a twangy rock and roll sound. So he's definitely evolved. I don't know where he's going to go from here. Who knows? But his last, like I said, he's really great.
Yeah, he's a rock and roller. He's a country guy. He's a little bit of everything. Yeah. Yep.
And his show on Sirius, if you ever get a chance to listen, he's got his own channel. But he does a show, and you got to catch it at the right time. He'll interview anybody. And what he does, he sits there and he plays songs. So he was there with Post Malone. I don't know if you know who Post Malone is. He's like that rapper. He was with him, and he's getting along with him. And they're playing little tracks. So he plays an Aerosmith track, and he goes, what do you think of this? Then he plays a Hank Williams cut. And Post Malone's knowing his shit because Post Malone likes the same music, and he's getting along with him. It was he's a great interviewer, and he's great. He just sits back and plays records, and these guys talk, so...
All right,
he was like Steve Earle when Steve Earle they came in. They were country, but they were rebels. They weren't cut of the same cloth as.
Well, Steve Earle's he's a Texas guy, so he's got that outlaw thing, Yeah. So all in all, Mark, how would you sum it up?
I'll give it an 80 out of 100 because of those two songs that don't hit me. I'm not giving it 100, but because I feel like I wish he had done more rearranging and experimenting rather than some of those traditional covers, but I get it. He loves those songs. That's his heart. So he's paying tribute. So all right, I'll say this. As a covers album, I give it 100 because covers albums need to reinvent
There goes
things.
Lou. There goes Mr. Fabulous again.
But as a Dwight Yoakam album, 80.
Ian, something. What would your overall?
I would say is it won't go away off my turntable.
Fuck away.
Okay, I like your criteria as a solo artist, as a cover record. I'm going to give it a C+.
Ooh.
Only because I think it's an okay record by a greater artist. I think he could have done. I agree with some of those, the traditional songs. I didn't know them, but maybe that's my bad. I don't know, but I think he could have added. Since he did something he did a Jagger Richards song, a Ray Davies song, a Beatles song. If to go in that vein, he could have made a bigger record out of it and still be very original. As a Dwight Yoakam record, I'm going to give it the same thing, a C+.
Yeah,
I think
I'm sure
it's a good record it's an okay record from a greater artist.
I'm sure Dwight Yoakam is absolutely happy with the record that he made with for this Under the Covers. Absolutely.
I was saying, in retrospect, even though it was 97, some of the drum programming on certain of those songs didn't
A little stiff, right?
A little stiff, yeah. Like I said,
yeah.
you don't need a drummer to do a shuffle on it. If that's what he was using,
Hey,
I'm not sure
I'm a Dwight Yoakam fan, and I have issues with the drumming on some of the records.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds
But-
too digital to me sometimes. Yeah.
The songs that I liked on that I thought he did were excellent. I thought were really, really good. I think he could have gone in that, taken that context, and done his other songs or other songs really in that similar vein, and could have made a great cover record.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I think it's almost a miss. The review I read of it called the record strange.
It is strange. It's
They
got
weren't ready.
a couple of jazzy numbers.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they would say
Mark,
that.
I totally, as far as Tired of Waiting for You, you and I are on totally opposite sides of the world on that one, though. But that's
right. Because Lou
thought
thought it was a joke, but Mark knows that it's.
That stood out. That was the first song.
Mark doesn't know that it's any better than me. You make it seem like you're knocking down my fact that it was making
Mark
me
and I
laugh.
have an enlightenment that you don't have, Lou. Sorry.
You have a what?
Ooh.
You have a what?
An enlightenment that when it comes to that song that you don't have.
Now, don't forget, Astral is on a giant bed of crystal.
Yeah.
So I've been on a giant bed of crystal for 16 years.
Right,
so
right.
We're talking enlightenment here.
In your drum circle, I know.
That's
Right.
right.
Lou- I just want to bring up one thing. I don't know if you guys know. Well, Perry, 5 years previous, his record label put out an album called LaCroix d'Amour. Did you know about that?
I remember seeing it somewhere.
It was distributed in Europe to try to get people into Dwight Yoakam. That was another covers album. It had some of the songs on this, like Things We Said Today, Here Comes the Night. But they also had, that song, Let's Work Together? Let's Work. You know that one.
Yeah. Let's work together.
It's a canned heat song.
Yep. And
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And he does Suspicious Minds on that album, and his version of Suspicious Mind, it's freaking great.
I've heard his version of Suspicious Minds.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah.
And Truckin'. He does Truckin'. Grateful Dead. So how can I not like that? So kind of
That's one of the only decent Grateful Dead songs.
There's two others.
There's two others. Look, Mr. Wonder, Mr. Fabulous just gave me the finger.
All right, listen, guys.
Box of Rain, and what's the other one? Those are good songs.
Box of Chocolates.
Listen, one of you recommend a Hootie and the Blowfish album, and you'll see the negative me come out.
Yeah.
All right, just recommend it. All right.
All right, look, we're at 2 hours almost, guys. Mark, let's get into your album, Mark's album reveal. Yeah.
I'll hold off Roy Thomas Baker next episode. We'll talk about that because that's a little in depth. All right.
Oh, we didn't get to Roy Thomas Baker because Mark cut out. Yeah,
too late.
And I have an album for next time.
You do?
Oh, you do?
Oh, why don't you give it up now, man?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I'm going on spec here because I heard this song from 1985. It's the Life in Northern Town by the Dream Academy.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Always loved that
too.
song, yeah.
Co-produced by David Gilmour.
With
so
John
we got a Pink
F.
Floyd-
Kennedy and the Beatles.
I thought it was Leo Kennedy.
David Gilmour produced that record?
David
Co-produced it.
Hey,
Yeah,
oh,
something to do with that
yeah. Yeah.
The song took a year to record, but I'm going on faith here because I haven't listened to it.
Yeah.
Let's listen to the first record, The Dream Academy, and see what
What's
we
it
come
called?
back with. It's
Okay.
called the Dream Academy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in, man.
All right.
All right.
I got it.
Because that is a great song.
See, I know nothing about them, so this will be interesting. Like, this will be like,
Yeah.
okay, listening.
I only know the one
I have
song. I'm not going to lie. I only know the one song.
Now, I thought
Yeah.
they were going to be my one-hit wonder, but they had another top 40 hit, which I didn't hear, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But I have a human interest story attached
Life
to
in a
Life in a
northern town.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the vocal. I like the vocal arrangements on that song. Yeah.
Yeah. It almost
All right,
reminds me of Sloop John B.
And as someone,
Beach Boys.
as someone who used to go upstate to see his parents in Catskills and those rainy days when it got dark at 4:00, Life in a Northern Town rang true. It's such a good representation.
Well, they were from the UK, I think, so they really experienced,
Liverpool was a northern town, so that's the whole.
They beat Manchester City today. They beat Manchester City today. They beat Manchester City today.
Oh,
Is that a good
Mr.
thing?
Fabulous,
Is that a good
let
thing?
it go. Come on, man.
Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Fabulous. Let's reveal some records.
All right, so before I do my 10, when I was cut out and I couldn't even listen to Spotify because I had no interest, I was playing this vinyl. Joe Walsh. Great album.
Okay.
Anyways,
Is that the smoker you get?
No, but seriously, folks, with Life's Music.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mark,
Lou,
one of the
before
slowest
you,
songs.
Mark, before you start, Give me a minute. I have to switch chairs. I'm on a camping chair right now. I can't take it
anymore. You got to pee. I know.
No, I don't.
His ass fell asleep.
Well, so Lou, yeah, this is the album, and Life's Been Good, and it's got great songs on it. I love this album, and I love these gatefold sleeves with the underwater shots and all that. This Eagles are on like every song, backing vocals on most songs.
Are they really? Life's Been Good. That's one of the slowest songs in rock and roll.
Really?
That song, if you listen to the tempo, boom, 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 it's a really
boom, boom,
from beginning to end, even with these shifts in rhythm, it's a really slow song, which is hard to do.
He's a scary good songwriter. I was trying to play along with what I saw were some of the simple songs on this album. The chords are all over the neck. You know, it's like he goes from G to E minor. That's fine. But then he goes to D, then he goes to F sharp, then he goes, it's like this guy he's off the charts with the songwriting.
Yeah. And I
wonder if it wasn't to get a chair.
Right. If it wasn't for the Eagles, like what would have become of Joe Walsh? He probably would have died.
Yeah, you're right, because part of the reason he had to sober up, I think, is that they said, kind of like Ron Wood with the Stones, right? You can only stay with us if you sober up, and they said that to Joe. So yeah, Joe would probably be dead now.
Joe Walsh.
Yeah.
I
like Joe Walsh.
The Shadow's back.
All right, so Lou, you were off last week, but basically, just to recap really quick, when I had the fire, I rescued all my albums. So Perry thought it was a good idea that I would every week just randomly show 10 albums from my collection. And again, as I said last week to Kenna, my son-in-law, thank you for being the one to rush in after the fire department said you can go in. He actually covered my albums to keep them from getting wet, and we got them out. So I picked a bunch, and I'm doing 10 a week. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to raise it up slowly, see if you guys know what it is.
The Pretenders.
Yes, Pretenders 2. Dude.
Yeah.
Now,
second album slump.
No, see, now this was my introduction to Pretenders. Now I'm going to show you something. It was manufactured by RCA Record Club, because if you didn't mail in your card, you got the album of the month, and this was it. I thought this was one of the heaviest albums I ever heard. It has The Adulteress and Bad Boys Get Spanked. Just heavy fucking songs. But Message of Love was a huge hit.
Message of Love was a big hit, yeah. And from the Times Square soundtrack, that movie Times Square, Talk of the Town.
Talk of the Town.
Songs. Yeah.
Great song. Great song.
Yeah. And Day After Day, another big song. So there's a lot of good cuts on this. It was James Honeyman Scott's last album before he died. And that's, where's James? He's right there. Good guy.
And the guitar sound on Talk of the Town. It's I don't know what that is, man, but it's cool. Yeah,
but this guy also died too. Pete Farndon
or whatever.
Yeah.
Pete Farndon died also, right?
Yeah, heroin too. Martin Chambers is back with her. Thank God.
Yeah.
He's
a great drummer.
He is. And I always thought the back cover of this was a cool live shot. It just shows him like they're strutting,
And what year was that? What year was the
79.
79?
Yep. So this is I know everyone says the first album's their favorite. It's my personal favorite. Kill me, shoot me, whatever. But I think after this, they got very commercial.
They did. Message of Love. I love the drumming on that song.
Yeah.
That's great drumming on there.
Yeah. He's a great rock and roll drummer.
I love those toms, like he's rolling on those toms, right? Those floor toms, yeah.
He also he sang a couple lead vocals during his.
You've been saying that. I don't remember any. I mean, I had
their album cuts.
I had these two records right here, and I don't remember Martin Chambers singing anything.
Well, she kicked him out of the band because he was so distraught over Pete Farndon and James Honeyman Scott dying that he wasn't performing. She kicked him out, but then she took him back. He's with, I think with Chrissy, it was always just the band's got to go on. She wanted that band to work. So she did what she had to do. Whether she got 50 session musicians on an album, she did what she had to do. Got to give her credit for that, She kept them going.
One of the ironies is that she kicked Pete Farndon out of the band because of his drug use, and then James Honeyman Scott died.
Yeah.
And Pete Farndon died a year later. He goes, she kicks me out of the band because of my problem, and he ends up dying a week later or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was a great sound. But that song "Talk of the Town" is one of my favorites too.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
That's a nice time capsule for me.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. What a great chorus.
Maybe someday.
Maybe. Yeah.
You've changed.
Changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to hear some, if you want to hear some dirty, greasy erotica, listen to Bad Boys Get Spanked. She's screaming all of that a tune. It's like, oh, it's
all right. Let's keep rolling. Let's keep rolling, Mark. We're at 2 hours
done.
already.
No, I'm done. No,
That's it. You've got 2 records.
Now listen, Perry. I'm going to take my time raising this up. If you're rushing me, okay. Do you know this band, Elf?
I have no idea. What is that?
It's Ron Jim Dio.
Yep. See him right there? That's Ronnie.
And who was that on the cover?
Everyone always said
devil.
it was Ronnie. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was Gollum, the evil one.
So Elf was a band.
Pazuzu from The Exorcist.
You would think this is a heavy metal album, but it's really just bar rock. It's blues bar rock.
I've never heard one song by Elf. So what is Elf? Well, who are they?
They were touring.
I mean, I know who they are, but what kind of music is it?
All right, so it's barroom beer rock. It's like that's what Ronnie was doing.
Really?
They were opening for Deep Purple, and every night, Richie Blackmore was watching them, and he's like, "I like this guy Dio." So it was one of the great thefts in rock and roll because he secretly, while he was still in Deep Purple, got Elf to record one song, and they liked it. And then he said to Dio, come on, let's form Rainbow. And Dio said, no, you can't form them without my band. He was loyal to his band. So everyone in Elf, aside from the guitar player, joined Rainbow. And then they did that first album, and then Richie fired him afterwards. So.
Now, didn't Harry Belafonte come up with that term? Dio!
By the way, kind of interesting. It's the old Epic label. The old, right? I love that.
I don't know. It looked white or yellow.
It's yellow, but it's see how the Epic is like.
It's kind of fuzzy wuzzy.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. So
The camera's not that
what's
good.
next on the reveal?
One more.
No, we got 10.
We got 10. We're
Let's
going over
keep
2 hours. That's fine by me. We've done
these will be
marathon
quick.
shows before.
Andy Johns, right? We were talking about Andy Johns.
Yeah,
I found
the
this in my
brother of
collection.
Glyn Johns.
Ozark Mountain Daredevils.
Yep.
Does that have Jackie Blue on it?
I think that's.
I guess she needed the money. Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, the Lou, come on! I'm not editing that, man. That stays.
Come on.
Yeah.
That was Andrew Dice Clay.
That
Come
shit
on.
stays, man.
Don't worry about it.
She did. That's not on this album.
That's what she said.
And then I love these albums where it's got like all the different albums.
So where was that recorded? Does it have the studio? where
Mark,
it was recorded?
can you show that again? All these albums, they had the roster of artists that were on their particular label.
And
Who's the guy? There's a guy in the middle, like the center square. Who's the guy? Like
that one?
Down. No, down. It's diagonal. That one. Is that Barry Manilow?
That's David Geffen.
You guys, you ready for this? That's Burt Bacharach, fuckers.
Is it really? You can't tell.
But you know what I find funny?
Solo record?
What was it on A&M Records?
Well, you know what's funny? They have all these missing, like they don't have enough albums to put on there. That's weird, Whereas if it was a Yes album with Atlantic, it would be packed, All right, here we go. This is a classic. You'll all know it. Jeff Beck, Truth.
Okay. Was that produced by George Martin?
And who was in the band then?
Rod Stewart.
Narada Michael Walden.
Nope. Rod Stewart, Ron Wood, Mickey Waller on drums, and it has the classic rave up Beck Spolero with John Bonham and Keith Moon.
Woody was in the Jeff Beck.
Ron Wood, yeah.
Wow.
That's why they're such good friends. But this album has Shapes of Things, reworking of the Yardbird song.
Yeah.
Morning Dew, which by the way the Grateful Dead did freaking fun.
That's also mentioned in Full Metal Jacket. I want to see fur and early morning dew.
He did You Shook Me before Led Zeppelin did it.
I thought AC/DC did that.
Green Sleeves, great rendition of Green Sleeves. Beck Spolero, and I Ain't Superstitious. Wah wah ba-dum boom.
I have
Who
heard.
Who produced it? Is that George Martin?
Good question. Nope, Mickey Most.
Mickey Most.
Most.
Wow, 60s guy. Wow.
Yeah, that's he's a British guy, right? Yeah.
He produced Herman's Hermits, amongst others.
This came out, I think, 2 years before Led Zeppelin's first album, 67. And this was like the blueprint for Led Zeppelin. Like
I thought Led Zeppelin first.
Led
Zeppelin was 68 or 9, right?
Nine,
the first album.
yeah. So like this was like the precursor. Like he was doing that sound before Led Zeppelin.
Wow. Well, nobody plays guitar like Jeff Beck.
No.
The guy, don't start me. You'll be on for another 3 hours. All right, here's one.
He was ahead of his time.
Oh yeah, and then when he went jazz, I mean, in '75 when Clapton's doing just boring blues, Page is doing his cock rock thing, and then Jeff Beck goes jazz. It's great. That's what I love about Jeff.
I remember everybody having that record Blow by Blow.
Yeah.
Everybody I knew had that. Not me, but everybody I knew had that record. Yeah.
And also Wired was the other
Wired,
one.
Yeah. Hammer. Yeah. And I knew a kid in high school that had the Blow by Blow album cover painted on his denim jacket, and he was the coolest kid in school. So,
I think that's a George Martin production, which is an interesting combination.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so here's a good one, kind of atmospheric listening. We're going to do it's Sergio Mendes.
And Brazil 66.
Greatest hits. And it's a great package on A&M Records because you open it up, it's got like it's quality, it's just like good stuff. You know?
Yeah.
I love this album. It was given to me by my brother-in-law, and they do covers of Scarborough Fair with a little help from my friends, Look of Love, Fool on the Hill. It's the greatest hits album.
Yep. And most of the A&M masters were lost in that big fire at Universal Studios. Yep.
Universal Studios.
And quality. I mean, I love the A&M logo.
Yeah.
All my Styx albums had that.
It doesn't have a trumpet or something? It doesn't have a... It's hard to see.
It's just A&M, but it fades out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good label to go into one day. The Carpenters were on A&M. The Police were on A&M. Squeeze was on A&M.
That's right.
Right.
Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss. Right?
And yeah.
Herb Alpert of the Tijuana Brass.
Alpert.
Yep.
Alpert, yes.
You guys got to understand, I went over there and I took a ton of albums, but then tonight, I randomly select, so don't think I planned this.
Mm-hmm.
But the second album that I heard from this band, and you know how big this band is to me, it's Emerson, Lake and Palmer Pictures and Exhibition. What makes it great is the outside, all the album frames are empty. And when you open up the inside, I can't see what I'm showing, but they have the representation of the songs. The funny thing about this album is it's a very short live recording, and the only reason it came out is because of Scott Muni. They had a recording of it. He heard it. He said to them, release it. This was their second album. And they said, no, we don't want to put out a live album as our second album. He convinced them to release it. And it's a great album. It's a great album.
Scott Muni.
And it's
famous
on
WNEW New York disc jockey.
Cotillion Records. That's another label that I like.
Cotillion, yeah. I haven't seen that in a while.
I know. Oh, and here we go. Anything to do with Atlantic. They've got all their albums. You got the Bee Gees. Yeah. You got John Prine in there. They got all the...
they're advertising. On the sleeve, they're advertising, yeah.
Yeah, you got Led Zeppelin in there. You got a lot of stuff in there. So this is obviously a reissue because if they have Led Zeppelin albums that came out after this, that was a reissue. All right. This is the album that got me into the band. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I did like this album. Devo, New Traditionalists. And it was the first album I heard from them. And I liked it. It was different.
I find them interesting. I always did.
Yeah.
They have their own boutique label with the Devo logo.
Really?
Yeah. Played the shit out of it because being a progressive fan, I like the 80s bands that use keyboards.
What kind of songs are on that record?
I don't think anything was was a hit. Through Being Cool, Jerking Back and Forth.
Of course, everybody's heard that song. We're Through Being Cool.
That was a hit?
Yeah.
Wow. What was the year on that?
Fucker, I can't see.
Put your other glasses on.
It's worn out. 1980. I can't read it. 1982, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it goes. We're through being cool. Eliminate the ninnies and the wimps. Something like that.
And I liked them. I mean, being a nerdy science fiction fan, I don't know. I was attracted to them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. The first album I ever bought with my own money. I went to Lou's favorite drum store, Town and Country. And I went down and I saw an album that said featuring members of Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And I pulled out my newspaper money and I bought Asia. Now, this is an original pressing from that year. And great packaging. And I was not disappointed.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Was that produced by Mike Stone?
No, Jeff Downs.
Jeff Downs produced the Asia record?
Oh, no, you're right. Mike Stone, I'm sorry.
Mike Stone, yeah. It's like an action hero. That's like an action hero name. It's like Lance Mannion.
I just ripped the inner sleeve. Fuck.
Oh, no.
Oh. But anyway, this was
Mark, you were in the heat of the moment. It's okay.
Yeah, they survived the fire, and he's destroying them right now, just holding them up.
This, and I got to say, I know a lot of people make fun of Asia. This is a really good album. It's got good songs. I think that Only Time Will Tell with that keyboard intro is a really good song. These guys, the fact that they made an album of such good pop songs is amazing because you think they would have went overboard and done 16-minute songs.
Well, that's why it seemed almost like a sellout in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But because, Carl Palmer's he's doing the Phil Spector, Hal Blaine beat. He never did that in his life. Boom, 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 crack. Heat of the moment. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
But the fact that they managed to craft some pop songs, but we knew Yes could do it for sure. With songs like Tempest Fugit, which was not a John Anderson. That's from is that the name of the record? We talked about
Drama.
It's from Drama, which was not John Anderson or
it was Trevor Horn.
Steve Howe. It was Trevor Horn, Jeff
Downs from the Buggles. Video Killed the Radio Star, a one-hit wonder band.
That's right. Yeah. And in that way, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last, I had
that was the first. That was the first record you bought, though.
The first record, because that was 1980.
It's cool. You still have that.
You know what? I mean, I could have bought an ELP album or two before then, because I was going to Town and Country and just flipping through albums, but I didn't have money. And my sisters gave me a lot of my albums, so I believe that was the first one. I remember this pride, and putting it, going home on my bike and playing it,
Yeah.
So, I had a tough time on my last. So I'm going to try and combine two. No, I'm not. This was always a good album to me. The Kids Are All Right. I love the cover. Yeah. And what makes this album for me so good, besides the tunes that were recorded for the movie, which are so heavy, that was one of the first albums that I blasted. My wife from this album is so loud, But quality packaging. You get a booklet. I mean, The Who knew how to do their shit. You get this great booklet. I got to see the history of The Who.
So is this actually the soundtrack from the movie The Kids Are All Right?
Yep. And it has more than is in the movie. And then even the inner sleeves. I love inner sleeves. They're thick cardboard inner sleeves. Really thick. Yeah. And I love that. And I probably now have 5 different versions of this because everybody gave me their albums. But just a point of reference, the songs that were in the movie that they recorded just for the movie, that concert has come out on DVD. They were at Shepperton Film Studios, and they did that, and you can get the whole concert. Yeah. It sounds really good. So yeah, this was, even though the first 2 albums I really heard was Tommy when I was my sister was playing it when I was 3. Tommy is in my head, but this was the album that I bought, and I loved it. I was proud.
And by the way, they may have owned Shepperton Film Studios at that time. They had a lot of business ventures. They may have owned that. Yeah.
And then look at this. This is not my copy because someone gave this to me. So somebody went to see Pete Townsend in concert, and this is like a little giveaway thing, Interesting. Simon Phillips on drums, Pino Palladino on bass, Andy Fairweather on guitars.
That guy, how many records has that guy been on, Lou, right? Yeah.
Mr. Journeyman, He's at the concert for George. He's one of the guitar players on that show.
Yeah, so somebody who gave this to me,
Yeah.
Mark, you mentioned My Wife. That's a great John Entwistle track.
Yeah.
That was one of his solo vocals.
Yep. Well, when they kick into it on The Kids Are All Right, the live version, his bass is so over the top. That whole concert, his bass, that was his best sounding bass. And I used to turn it up so loud on my stereo. I mean, it was better than any metal song. It was just off the charts.
Yeah. And what year was that, by the way? 73?
No. I think 70. It was right before Who Are You? Or it came out in 79, but I think the movie Yeah.
Reissue.
Yeah, because Who Are You was like 79, I think, right? Just before that was the last record before Keith Moon
78.
died, right? Yeah.
78. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
And
the last record Mooney was on. Yeah.
Yep, and I love that album. And interestingly, if you look at the band photo on the back, Moon is like sitting on a chair that's backwards.
Yeah.
And they did that because his belly was so big they didn't want anybody to see
Not
it.
to be taken away.
Not to be taken away.
Yeah.
One of my favorite songs on that record, "Goodbye Sister Disco."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's such a great song.
Yeah.
With your flashing trash.
But that was cool. Like when they were doing Bob O'Reilly, Keith had headsets on because he had to play along with that backing track.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was some early technology like that where put a pair of headphones on for Keith Moon to play along with a pre-recorded track. I mean,
right.
But
they didn't do it on CD.
He had to be
like
so blindly focused on
they
that.
They did it on
CD
like that fucking singer on Saturday Night Live where and then she blamed it on the band. Jessica Simpson or somebody like that, right?
Oops.
So, she went into a little jig dance, well, the band, and then she goes, the band started playing the wrong song. Oh, yeah, okay. You're all good now. Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
You're through.
and that's it.
You're
Milli
done.
Vanilli, Jessica, or what's her name? Natalie Simpson. I don't know her name. But
Yep. But that's it for this week for those albums. I'll have 10 more on the next show.
All right. Well,
that was cool.
Well, it was a good show. We lost Mark for a few minutes, but Lou and I didn't miss a beat. We kept rolling, So
you lost me twice before we started the show.
It's a good thing you lost Mark.
Yeah,
it was a pain in the ass.
So we'll kick in the closing theme here.
Yeah,
and
I lost my guitar pick.
Right?
I guess I got to be Jeff Beck. No, I'm not Jeff Beck. I've just been playing without a pick.
Yeah, and let me see if I can kick in this last closing theme, and maybe we can just roll on.
Dead air.
There it is. Go ahead, Mr. Fabulous. Go, man, go.
I don't know what key this part of the song's in.
He's redoing his leads at home.
By the way, this was a little squeeze toy that the dog ripped out of its toy.
Oh man, that's great. We are the Music Relish Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Anchor. We're on Overcast. We're on where else are we on?
We're out there wherever people find their podcasts on. They can find
wherever good
Relish
are
Podcast.
Yeah.
And of course we always say hello to our friends Scott McLean, Jack Calabrese from the Milk Crates and Turntables.
Yes.
Tom Spallone, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's out there with his Going Postal podcast, hopefully.
And he's on Facebook.
And he's on Facebook. Yep. And we have an email address. I believe it's musicrelishpodcast@gmail.com. We're open for any snide remarks or anything like that. Right?
The snidder, the better.
Yeah.
And this song is called Asheville Skyline.
Asheville Skyline.
As recorded by the three of us. Asshole Lips and Asshole Skyline.
Well, good night, people.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
This is Music Relish Podcast.